Chapter 1604. Without anyone noticing, the carriage carried the old master and servant and a few jugs of wine out of the city of Su. On the official road, it slowly headed in the direction of their home. When dusk arrived, the two women on the boat on the river in Sioux City walked down from it. They slowly walked on the streets of Sioux City. Their appearances changed, and they became very ordinary. "Senior sister, you grew up here. Aside from the boat, are there any other good places to go in the city of Sioux? After being in closed-door cultivation for so long, it was rare for me to come down the mountain. I have to have some fun." I went home to visit my parents, but you insisted on coming back with me. There are no fun places in the city of Sioux. Tomorrow, I'm going to visit the great Confucian Su Dao. In the past, he was a friend of my family. When you go there, don't speak nonsense. Although he is a mortal, even Master has to be very polite to him. As the two of them were talking, a scholar walked past the two women. When he heard what they said, he laughed. He saw that the two women looked very ordinary, but he still stopped and said with a smile, "Why are you here? I'm afraid the two of you have left the country of Zhao for a long time. Great Confucian Su Dao returned more than 10 years ago. Now, the Great Confucian of the country of Zhao is called Wang Lin. He is Great Confucian Su Dao's disciple." The two women were startled. The scholar shook his head and walked away with a smile. Wang Lin. Wang Lin. Ah, senior sister, I remember now. During the day on the boat, the old man who looked at us. Although he looked old, he was that little scholar, Wang Lin. Zhou Rui's footsteps stopped and she suddenly turned her head. She looked at the river that was fading into the dusk. The image of that young man blushing seemed to appear in her mind. Xue Fei looked at Zhou Rui and seemed to understand something. He asked softly, senior sister, what's wrong?" Zhou Rui was silent for a moment and gently shook her head. Then she walked into the distance with Xue Fei. However, before she took 10 steps, she clenched her teeth, as if she had made up her mind. "Wait for me." With that, Zhou Rui's body flickered as she shot up into the sky. Her sudden action immediately caused the surrounding people to cry out in shock. The people in the area stared in awe and disbelief at what had just happened, and only after a long time did they come back to their senses. "Fairy! That's a fairy!" Looking at Zhou Rui's departing figure, Xue Fei frowned and sighed softly. In the sky above Isu City, above the river, Zhou Rui spread out her divine sense. As she sped past, she searched. But in the end, she still couldn't find that figure. Day after day, she searched the entire city of Su. Is he gone? Zhou Rui didn't know what was wrong with herself. She wanted to see him, but fate made fools of people. It was like two different trajectories of life. Once they crossed paths, they wouldn't meet again in a short period of time. Dozens of miles outside Sioux City, the carriage bumped along the palace road. Wang Lin sat in the carriage and allowed the wind to lift the curtains and sweep past him. As he drank, his gaze peered out from behind the raised curtain and landed on the dusky sky. No one knew what he was thinking. Although he couldn't be said to be old, he was no longer young. The white hair on his temples seemed to have grown a few more strands as he gulped down mouthfuls of wine. Slowly, he saw a white bird circling in the dark sky and flying home with him. As he got older, his body wasn't as good as when he was young. After being bumped for a long time in the carriage, he felt like his bones were about to fall apart and he was extremely tired. Just like this, they traveled and rested as they passed through the summer. 4 months later, one afternoon, Wang Lin and Big Fortune entered the Hengyu Mountain from the distant city of Su. The autumn sun hung high in the sky. When they left, the flowers and leaves on both sides of the road were dotted with red and green. When they arrived, most of the flowers had withered and the leaves had begun to turn yellow. Although it wasn't time for them to fall, they weren't far away. It's been 18 years. Wang Lin looked at the grass and trees around him. His vision became blurry. He still remembered that when he left, he was still a teenager. Now that he returned, he was already 50 years old. The carriage creaked as it slowly followed the road and entered a quiet mountain village hidden in front of them. Wang Lin was very familiar with everything here. He grew up here. Without alarming too many neighbors, Wang Lin brought Big Fortune back to the home he hadn't seen for a long time. His parents were still there, but his father, who used to be strong and healthy, now needed to use a walking stick. With the support of Wang Lin's white-haired mother and her old mother, they smiled as they watched their wanderer return home. Even though this wanderer had become the eldest son of the state of Zhao, the pride of the Wang family, and stood at the peak in front of them, Wang Lin was still the same as when he left 28 years ago. He was still their child. It was like this now, and it was like this when they were brought to Sioux City. The carriage stopped outside the family's courtyard. Wang Lin held onto the shaft of the carriage as he alighted. He immediately saw his parents. A gentle smile appeared on his face. Wang Lin walked forward and knelt on the ground. "Dad, Mom, Taiju is back." Big Fortune blinked. After he got off the carriage, the man surnamed Saw also went forward and knelt down. He said loudly, "Dad, Mom, Big Fortune is back." Wang Lin's father laughed and ignored Wang Lin. Instead, he went forward and helped Big Fortune up. He shook his head and smiled. "You are still the same as before. I can't even thank you enough for taking care of Ping all these years. Don't learn from him." Wang Lin stood up and looked at his parents' happy smiles. An indescribable warmth filled his heart. He supported his mother, his father, and Big Fortune as they walked into the courtyard. "Taiju, when are you leaving this time?" Wang Lin's mother looked kindly at her son. He was her pride. "Why are you still calling me Taiju?" Wang Lin is now the great scholar of the state of Zhao. Do you know what a great scholar is? That is a status that even the emperor has to be respectful to. Don't you see that the county magistrate has been coming over all these years? Wang Lin's father glared at his wife. "This time I won't be leaving. Taiju will serve you until you grow old," Wang Lin said softly as he looked at his mother's white hair and wrinkles. Wang Lin's return caused an uproar in the entire mountain village a few days later. His neighbors came one after another. They wanted to see the great scholar of the state of Zhao, who was also their pride and joy. Even the scholars and officials in the county rushed over as soon as they heard about the matter. At the same time, the relatives of the Wang family also came. Wang Lin's father's face was glowing these few days. He no longer looked old and his back was straight. In his life, the thing he was most proud of was having a son like this, a great scholar of the state of Zhao. Especially when he saw so many people coming at the same time, Wang Lin's father was even more proud. He took out some silver and arranged for a banquet to be held in the village square. The banquet in the village was originally very simple. However, with everyone's careful planning, it ended up being extremely luxurious. The food and wine were all personally prepared by the chefs who had been called over from the county, who had rushed over with the ingredients. It was difficult to describe all of these. When Wang Lin saw that his father was happy, he didn't say anything. Otherwise, he would have preferred peace and quiet. However, since his parents were happy, he let them make the arrangements. During the banquet, the relatives of the Wang family came to greet Wang Lin one by one. They all looked very respectful. Wang Lin had seen them too many times. Just a slight nod was enough to make them feel flattered. Among these relatives were his old granduncle, the head of the Wang family, and some of his peers. As Wang Lin watched this scene, he felt like he had seen it in a dream before. However, there were many differences between that dream and now. When dusk fell, Wang Lin saw that his parents were a bit tired. He waved his sleeves and left with his parents. The lively banquet ended. The remaining people gradually dispersed over the next few days, and the mountain village returned to its peaceful state. "Taiju, you're not young anymore. Why don't you get a wife?" AI. Wang Lin's father was a bit drunk. After muttering a few words, he sighed and didn't say anything else. Just like this, Wang Lin slowly watched the days rise and fall in the hometown where he grew up, watching the years pass by. 5 years later, in the autumn of the third San year after Wang Lin left the mountain village, the autumn leaves were swept by the wind and rustled on the ground, searching for their roots. Wang Lin's father was lying on the bed, holding Wang Lin's hand. His eyes were filled with reluctance, but even more so, they were filled with gratification and pride. Taizhu, I will never forget you in my life. I don't know how to read, but I found someone to recite for a long time what you said in the books. You once said that in the cycle of reincarnation, birth, old age, sickness, and death are like family, summer, autumn, and winter. I remember. A smile appeared on Wang Lin's father's face. However, under this smile, under that pride and gratification, there was also a fear that Wang Lin could feel. He was afraid of death, afraid of not being able to see his family, afraid of the loneliness and unknown after death. He tightly held onto Wang Lin's hand as if it was the last root in his life, the last thing he could rely on. The light in his eyes dimmed, revealing helplessness. Father, don't be afraid, I'm by your side. Most of Wang Lin's hair had already turned white. He looked at his father with sorrow in his eyes. Holding his father's hand, Wang Lin leaned forward and gently hugged his frail father. Father, I'm here. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Father, do you still remember the birthday present you gave me when I was young? That little wooden colt, I found it a few days ago. Father, outside the courtyard, the tree that seemed to have existed in the village for 100 years gave off a vicissitude of life. In the autumn of this year, most of its leaves had been blown away by the wind, but there was still one leaf hanging there, as if it was unwilling to leave. It swayed in the wind, swayed, and used the last of its strength to fly down from the tree. It flew in a circle, drew an arc, and landed on top of the Wang family's house. Under Wang Lin's gentle patting and gentle voice, his father, who was in Wang Lin's embrace, slowly stopped harming him. He slowly closed his eyes, stopped breathing, and fell into his son's embrace. The leaves on the roof seemed to have a soul. They flew up again and flew away with the wind. Chapter 1605. In the second year after his father left, Wang Lin's mother also fell asleep and never woke up again. Her sleeping face revealed a blissful smile. It was as if she had met Wang Lin's father in a dream. The two of them reunited and didn't want to come back. There was a person who held you when you were a baby. No matter how tired she was, she would still whisper to you to make you sleep, to make you stop crying. There was a person who was worried that you would catch a cold when you were sleeping. She would not care about her sleep. She would wake up several times every night just to touch the bedding under you to see if it was wet. There was a person who, when you were studying, endured the sleepiness and woke up just to make breakfast so that you wouldn't feel hungry. There was a person who, after knowing that you liked to eat fish, would eat the fish head and the fish tail. You would smile and ask her why she didn't eat the fish body. She would smile and answer that she liked to eat the fish head and the fish tail, but you took it seriously. There was a person who sewed clothes for you as you grew up. There were a few red dots in every stitch that you couldn't see. There was a person, even if you really grew up to be a real person, she would still silently look at you with the same gaze that she had for decades. She would silently be happy, silently smile, and in the end, silently be able to close her tired eyes. This person was called Mother. There was a person who, when you were a baby, held your body high with both hands. It replaced the sun in his eyes and became his everything. There was a person who, before you learned to walk, when you were still falling, held your hands. Amidst the happy laughter, he helped you take the first step in life. There was a person who, when you were happy again and again, held your hand. He took you through mountains and rivers and took you to see the sky and the earth. When you looked up at his back, you would feel that he was the mountain and the sky. There was a person who, when you said that your mother liked to eat fish head and seriously left the fish head and the fish tail for your mother, looked at your wife with an apologetic and gentle expression. There was another person. When you grew up, Every time you thought of him, he would be strict and stare at you, making you even more annoyed. However, as you gradually grew up, you would realize that under that strict gaze, there was a hidden love that you couldn't see back then. There was another person, an old man lying on the bed, his eyes slowly closing, filled with fear and helplessness. But your soft voice made him feel like a child, just like when you were young. He lifted your body, and your happy laughter made him no longer feel fear and helplessness. Instead, he fell into your warm embrace. This person was called Father. Wang Lin sat in front of his parents' grave. He cried, laughed, and cried. The scenes were unforgettable. He didn't drink, but at this moment, he was drunk. In his dream, the other person couldn't send his parents to their death. He couldn't hug his father's body, and couldn't kiss his mother's wrinkled forehead. In this life, he did. If a person had a wife and children, then after the death of his parents, perhaps his sorrow would be as strong and deep, but he would have someone to rely on. But if a person didn't have a wife and children in this life, then his sorrow would be enough to cover the world. From then on, there would no longer be an embrace that could warm his heart when he was tired. From then on, there would no longer be a smile that could dispel his melancholy in his loneliness. From then on, there would only be his figure at the end of the world, silently watching the sun rise and set. After guarding the grave for 3 years, Wang Lin's hair was completely white. His body was no longer straight but slightly bent. His body revealed traces of the vicissitudes of time. It's been 38 years. Wrinkles appeared on Wang Lin's face. He was now an old man who was nearly 60 years old. Dafu was even older. He stood behind Wang Lin with the help of a walking stick and looked at him silently. He lowered his head to look at his right wrist and then gently nodded. How many 38 years can there be in a person's life? I don't know about others, but I don't think there will be another one for me, Wang Xiyuan said in a low voice as he knelt down and bowed in front of his parents' grave. Do you still remember that ancient temple? Wang Lin stood up and looked back at Dafu, who was so old that he looked like he couldn't even walk for long. In that ancient temple, I said I needed a page boy, so you followed me. A nostalgic smile appeared on Wang Lin's face as he looked at Dafu. Dafu had been with him for more than 30 years. Dafu can still be a page boy. Dafu rolled his eyes and grinned. You're old, and I'm also old. It's just that I still have unfulfilled wishes. Dafu, help me guard the house. Wait for me to come back. Wang Lin looked up at the sky and saw a white bird in the sky. I'm still a little short of understanding the world. I want to use the rest of my life to go to the many countries of Suzaku. When I come back, maybe I won't get anything, or maybe I'll be enlightened. In the spring of the 38th year, Wang Lin left the mountain village alone. Dafu stayed at home and silently waited for Wang Lin's return. Perhaps it would be 10 years, 20 years, or maybe it would be a lifetime. Wang Lin sat alone in the carriage, drinking wine. They were getting farther and farther away from the Hengyu mountain. A few months later, the carriage arrived at the border of the kingdom of Zhao. Wang Lin got off the carriage and dismissed the coachman. He took a deep breath and looked back at the kingdom of Zhao. Then, he turned around and walked to the border of the kingdom of Zhao. This was the first time in his life that he had walked out of the kingdom of Zhao. Wang Lin didn't think about what his future path would be. He only knew that the path was under his feet. The moment he took this step, a few rays of light suddenly whistled in the sky and passed over Wang Lin. He didn't look up but calmly walked forward. A gasp of surprise came from one of the rays of light flying through the sky. Among the cultivators, there was an extremely beautiful woman who looked like Valen. Aside from being beautiful, she also had a charming aura, but it wasn't an act, it was natural. Her body stopped in the air, and she looked down at Wang Lin, who was walking step by step below. Her eyebrows were slightly furrowed, and her expression revealed confusion. Beside her, a cultivator asked in surprise, "What's wrong, junior sister Lu?" Nothing, you guys go back to the sect first. I have some things to do. The extremely beautiful woman spoke softly. She no longer paid attention to everyone and turned to fly down. The cultivator who spoke before was startled and was about to follow. Senior brother, I want to be alone. The woman's soft but unusually firm voice echoed, causing the cultivator to stop. After a bit, he brought his fellow sect members who were also surprised and left. Wang Lin stopped and turned around to look at the sky behind him. The beautiful ray of light landed 100 feet away from him and turned into a woman wearing purple. This woman was very beautiful. Her beauty was something Wang Lin had never seen before in his life. Compared to Zhou Rui, she was several times more beautiful. However, Wang Lin was not absent-minded. He had seen through everything. What he pursued was the truth of the world, and he had his own thoughts. In his eyes, this woman was beautiful, but when he closed his eyes, he was no different from an ordinary woman. The woman looked at the old Wang Lin 100 feet away. She looked at his white hair and wrinkled face. She looked at his bright eyes that were filled with wisdom. After a long time, she lowered her head and gently bowed. Old man, I met you once a few decades ago. Today is the second time we have met. Do you still remember? Wang Lin looked at the woman before him and pondered. After a long time, he smiled, shook his head, and spoke in a hoarse voice. He spoke in a hoarse voice, I forgot. The woman smiled and softly said, Since you forgot, then forget. Elder, I don't know why, but when I look at you, I feel like we've met somewhere before. It's not this time, but the last time I saw you. I really want to know, what is your name? The woman smiled and softly said, Old man, Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he slowly said, Wang Lin? The woman frowned. After thinking for a long time, she said hesitantly, Are you the great scholar of the state of Zhao, Wang Lin? Yes, old man, Wang Lin nodded. His eyes were filled with the vicissitudes of life. His deep gaze seemed to contain the world. It should be because I remember the anchor. The woman thought for a long time, but she could not think of why there was such a familiar feeling that made her heart ache. She looked deeply at Wang Lin. She did not understand why the pain she felt when she saw him was countless times more intense than when she saw him in the past. His old appearance made her feel an indescribable sense of melancholy. Sorry for disturbing you. Goodbye. She sighed. With confusion in her eyes and pain in her chest, she turned around and left. May I know your name? Wang Lin asked softly. Lu Mei. Mei as in eyebrow. The woman stopped and turned her head. Beneath her beautiful eyes was a smile that could make anyone's heart pound. After hesitating for a moment, she slapped her bag of holding and took out a medicinal pill. You're getting old. This pill can help you maintain your energy. Our meeting can be considered fate. I'll give it to you. Goodbye. Lu Yen put down the medicinal pill. Clouds appeared beneath her feet, and she floated up into the air. It was a very beautiful sight. Was it a previous life, reincarnation, or a dream, or was it all just a dream? Or was it all nothing? Lu Mei, the life in my dream, the woman who made me wake up from the pain? Wang Lin looked at the medicinal pill. He hid his emotions very well. After a long time, when the woman's figure disappeared into the distance, Wang Kai suddenly lifted his head and used all the strength he could muster at that moment to shout in a hoarse voice, You're right. Lu Mei, you must remember, no matter when, whether it's the next life, the next reincarnation, or a dream, do not get to know a cultivator named Wang Lin. Do not get to know him, do not get in touch with him. Lu Mei had already disappeared off into the distance. Wang Lin wasn't sure if she had heard him or not. He shouted with all the strength he could muster, until his voice was hoarse. Eventually, she disappeared into the distance. Chapter 1606. Wang Lin didn't know if his words would have any effect. Even he himself was at a loss. After a long time, Wang Lin picked up the medicinal pill on the ground. After a moment of silence, he placed it in his robe, sighed, and turned to leave. He walked alone in the world of Suzaku. He didn't stick to one mountain or one land, but traversed countless mountains and rivers. He brought his understanding of the heavens and earth with him, and his thoughts, to one country after another. Year after year, Wang Lin swallowed the medicinal pill. This pill gave him endless energy, giving Wang Lin even more strength to fulfill his wish, to travel around the various countries. Along the way, he rested against the mountains, and rested when he came across a river. He saw countless unfamiliar faces. Some were kind, some were fierce, some were confused, and some were stubborn. He met bandits and bandits, but every time he met them, he just stood there, and everyone could feel the majestic aura coming from him. He, Wang Lin, could even scare away immortals with a single word, let alone ordinary people. As he walked, Wang Lin's countenance grew older, but his eyes grew brighter and brighter. They contained his endless wisdom and comprehension, causing his entire person to be reborn, and to rise to a higher level. He went to too many cities, and saw too many people. He even went to many capitals. In those capitals, in front of all the officials and nobles, Wang Lin's temperament, Wang Lin's words, slowly earned him the respect of everyone. He even saw many emperors in the mortal world who enjoyed supreme status. In his eyes, all these people were the same. There was no difference. It wasn't that no one wanted to kill him, but everyone who had such thoughts ended up with an indescribable feeling of reverence when they faced Wang Lin. In the kingdom of Wu, the imperial palace was surrounded by tens of thousands of imperial guards. All it would take was a single command from Emperor Wu, and they would all rush out. He wanted to keep Wang Lin here, and make Wang Lin the Grand Confucian of the kingdom of Wu. In the end, Wang Lin smiled and shook his head, then turned and left. Thunder rolled in the sky, and the clouds flashed. Not a single one of the tens of thousands of imperial guards dared to block his way, and they all clasped hands and bowed. In the kingdom of Sun, Emperor Wu and countless officials escorted Wang Lin 500 kilometers away. In the kingdom of Tianguo, there were countless evildoers, but in the end, when Wang Lin left, he converted tens of thousands of them. As he walked, the name Grand Scholar Wang Lin set off a storm on planet Suzaku. It became more and more intense, and was remembered by countless people. On his way, Wang Lin saw countless mountains, and as he stood on them, he looked up at the heaven and earth, feeling the vastness. He also encountered immortals, as well as many strange and familiar figures. There were many cultivation countries on Suzaku, as well as many sections. Most of these sects were built on the mountain peaks, or in areas of Shimizu beauty. Of course, there were also some that were built on barren mountains and unruly rivers. Every time he climbed a mountain or went to a place, if he had a feeling, Wang Lin wouldn't deliberately look for it. He only needed to rely on his comprehension of the heavens and earth to enter each of the sects on the mountain. Although the strength of the protective spell formations varied, none of them could affect Wang Lin's footsteps. Whenever he stepped into one of them, he would be noticed by the cultivators of the various sections. Even the elders of the sects who had been in secluded meditation for countless years would be awoken from their meditation by the vast power of heaven and earth that emanated from Wang Lin. Wang Lin calmly came and calmly left. He only looked at the mountains, admired the scenery, and comprehended the heaven and earth. In his eyes, everything else was the same. Gradually, even in the cultivation world of the country of Zhao, the name of a mortal scholar, Wang Lin, began to spread. Those cultivators knew that there was a mortal on planet Suzaku that was the grand scholar of this generation. Even cultivators would feel awe before him. What they feared wasn't his power, but his thoughts. Whether it is cultivators or mortals, they are all living beings. Wang Lin's words would be left behind wherever he went. Many cultivators had long conversations with him, and were enlightened by him. They gained enlightenment of the heaven and earth, and had hope of reaching the soul formation stage. Even those who had reached the soul formation stage would feel their minds tremble during the long conversations. 1 year, time passed. In the blink of an eye, 12 years went by. During these 12 years, Wang Lin had been to many places. His name had unknowingly spread to many places he hadn't been to before. 12 years ago, he left the country of Zhao by himself. 12 years later, he was still walking on Suzaku by himself. On this day, when snow was falling, Wang Lin arrived at a country he didn't know the name of. This country was very big, about 3 times the size of the country of Zhao. Wang Lin had been to this city in his dreams before. Standing outside the city gate, under the falling snow, Wang Lin's old face revealed a hint of melancholy. He tightened his leather jacket and walked into the city. Stepping on the snow on the ground, Wang Lin walked into a street in the city. This street was very quiet and there weren't many people walking. Although there were shops on both sides of the street, there were very few people inside. Looking at this familiar place, the scene from his dream became even more real. It was as if it was overlapping with his eyes, causing Wang Lin to be in a trance as he silently walked forward. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of iron being struck came from the distance. Wang Lin looked over with his old eyes and saw a blacksmith shop not far away. Inside the shop, a middle-aged man with a bare upper body was hammering with a hammer. Although it was snowing outside, the man didn't feel cold at all. He continued to spin the hammer, creating clanging sounds. Beside the man, there was a small stool with a boy around 7 or 8 years old sitting on it. He wore a thick cotton jacket and his face was red as he looked at the man excitedly. Dainyu. Wang Lin's vision became blurry and he gently shook his head. This child wasn't the Dainyu from his dream. Old man, you've been standing outside for a long time. Come in and warm yourself up. The man put down the hammer in his hand and wiped the sweat off his face. He looked at Wang Lin outside the shop and revealed a simple and honest smile. Wang Lin was startled, but his face also revealed a smile. He nodded and walked into the blacksmith shop. A gust of hot air hit his face and melted a lot of the snow on his body. Xiaonyang, bring some warm wine. The man put on a jacket. Seeing that Wang Lin was old, he helped him sit down and also sat to the side. Old man, you're not a local, right? The man smiled. I've been here before, Wang Lin said in a hoarse voice as he looked at the furnishings in the shop. The boy around 7 or 8 years old was sitting not far away, looking curiously at Wang Lin. When he heard his mother's voice, he got up and ran over. Not long after, he appeared with a middle-aged woman holding a jug of wine. The woman had a virtuous expression and poured a cup of wine for Wang Lin. Her eyes revealed a look of pity. Old man, the weather is cold. Drink a cup of wine to warm yourself up. Are you here to find relatives? Wang Lin smiled and didn't say anything. He picked up the wine cup, took a sip, and drank it in one gulp. Old man, Meising family's wine is not bad, right? Haha, my grandfather's generation was not a blacksmith, but a wine seller. Later, when it came to me, I opened a blacksmith shop. The burly man picked up his wine cup and took a sip before he laughed. The fire in the shop was very strong, forming a dazzling contrast with the falling snow outside. It even blew the cold air out of the snow. Wang Lin sat there, drinking the Xing family's wine. He couldn't tell if it was a dream or not. After a long time, when the snow was a little lighter, Wang Lin got up and said his goodbyes. The man pitied Wang Lin's age and gave him a jug of wine to warm himself up. As he walked, the sky gradually darkened. However, in the snow, the ground was very bright, and he could see very far into the distance. As he walked, the candlelight in the smithy behind him supported his figure under the moonlight, and he went further and further away. After a short pause, Wang Lin seemed to understand something. He continued to walk on Suzaku, passing through many unfamiliar places. On the 15th year since he left the state of Zhao, Wang Lin was already in his early 70s. His spine was even more curved, and his body gave off the color of dusk. However, his eyes were as bright as the sun, making it difficult for others to look at him. His eyes contained karma, life and death, true and false. Even his master, Su Dao, didn't have this kind of temperament. On the 15th summer, in a strange country, Wang Lin stood in a pavilion on the side of the official road. He looked out at the rain, and he could vaguely see the sea far away. The sea was very big, and it separated two continents. On the other side of the sea there were many countries. That was the last place Wang Lin wanted to go. There was a woman he loved in his other life, and he wanted to see her. The rain fell in a continuous line, causing the sky and earth to be a blur. Only the rough outline could be seen. Wang Lin stood there, looking at the rain and listening to the sound. Then he slowly closed his eyes. The moment he closed his eyes, a woman walked over from the distance in the rain. She seemed to be giving off an endless chill, and as she arrived, the rain around her turned into ice crystals and fell to the ground with cracking sounds. She was holding a baby in her arms. The baby was wrapped in a thick quilt, and no rain fell on it. It was sleeping soundly. The woman stopped in front of the pavilion. She was middle-aged, but her face was still beautiful. However, the coldness around her made her look like a demon. "You are the great scholar Wang Lin." Wang Lin opened his eyes, calmly looked at the woman, and nodded. One of them was inside the pavilion, and there was no rain. The other was outside the pavilion, and there was also no rain. The rain had turned into ice, and the sky behind the woman was completely covered in ice. "I'm from Shuiyu, and I want to ask you something." The woman's voice was the same as her words. It came from Shuiyu. Chapter 1607. Wang Lin looked at the cold woman, and then his gaze fell on the baby wrapped in the quilt. After pondering a bit, he nodded. The woman's expression was still cold, and her eyes seemed to contain the howling of the cold wind. She looked at Wang Lin as if she was looking at the world behind Wang Lin. "Mister's name is very famous in my Suzaku. Even in the distant Shuiyu, I have heard of you. Mister is a great scholar and has answered the questions of many cultivators. You have comprehended the world and pointed out the wrong path. Today I came here for this child." The woman looked down at the sleeping baby in her arms, and her cold eyes revealed a hint of softness. The coldness in the woman's voice dissipated a bit as she looked at the baby in her arms and calmly said, "Everyone says that Mister has seen through the world and understands karma. You are indifferent to life and death and walk between reality and illusion. Can you point out a path that belongs to this child?" "When this child was born, her parents died. I saw her by chance in the snow. At that time, her body was already stiff and she was on the verge of death. I felt pity for her, but after taking a closer look, I found that this child's talent is very high. She was born with the aura of the 5 elements, and if she can survive, she will definitely become a proud son of my generation in Suzaku. However, her life is full of ups and downs. I am good at divination and divinations, so I calculated that this child will face a calamity. This calamity will appear at birth, and since I encountered it, I will become the person who will help her overcome this calamity. The more she grows, the more the calamity of life and death will arrive. My cultivation is limited, so I can only use spells to limit her growth and keep her in the form of a baby. I heard that Mister is very talented, so I wanted to seek Mister's help." The woman's voice was cold and she softly spoke. Just at that moment, a bolt of lightning suddenly flashed through the rain. Soon after, thunderous rumbles echoed in the world. Perhaps it was because the thunder was too loud, but it woke the baby up from his sleep. He opened his eyes that were completely devoid of any impurities and started crying. Even after the thunder passed, the baby's cry still echoed. "Let me hold him," Wang Lin said softly as he looked at the baby. The woman was silent for a while before she handed the baby to Wang Lin. Wang Lin gently took the baby and held it in his arms. He lowered his head and looked at the crying baby. It was a baby girl. Although she was crying, she looked quite cute and delicate. There was a red dot between her eyebrows, as if it was pointing at her soul. Tears flowed from the corners of her eyes. wetting the quilt beside her. Strangely enough, the baby girl had been crying loudly in the woman's arms, but now that she was in Wang Lin's arms, her tears slowly stopped. Her innocent eyes were wide as she looked at Wang Lin. A smile slowly appeared on Wang Lin's aged face. He scratched the baby girl's nose with his right hand, and the baby girl immediately smiled happily. "What is her name?" Wang Lin asked softly. The woman was silent for a while, then shook her head. Her voice was still a bit cold. "Her parents died early, so I don't know. I haven't given her a name in all these years. Why don't you give her a name, sir?" Wang Lin looked at the happy baby girl who was smiling at him. He could vaguely feel a sense of familiarity from this child. After a long time, Wang Lin raised his head and looked out at the curtain of rain. Under the rain, the shade of the trees in the distance was covered. He could vaguely see a colorful butterfly hiding from the wind and rain under the leaves of the trees. If the butterfly's wings were wet by the rain, it would not be able to fly. If the butterfly's body was blown by the wind, it would be like a hurricane had descended on a person. Looking at the butterfly under the leaves of the trees, Wang Lin's eyes lit up with understanding. He silently looked at the butterfly for a long time. "Let's call her Red Butterfly." The butterfly in the rain, with a tender and beautiful red glow, walks a proud and beautiful life. Wang Lin's voice was soft, and his expression was filled with an indescribable emotion. He lowered his head and looked deeply at the baby girl in his arms. The baby girl seemed to understand Wang Lin's words, and her laughter grew even louder. "Wang, you don't understand divine abilities, so you don't know how to help this child avoid the calamity of life and death. I saw something in my dream, and I'll draw it for you. If you can understand it, you can save her from life and death." Wang Lin sighed and handed the baby girl to the woman from the snow domain. Then he lifted his right hand, which was wet with rainwater, and began to draw a complicated pattern on the stone table in the pavilion. His eyes were closed, and he seemed to be recalling something. Stroke by stroke, he began to draw a complicated pattern. This pattern was a spell formation. It was extremely profound, and when the woman from the snow domain saw it, she was moved. She focused her attention and began to memorize it. After a long time, Wang Lin finished the last stroke and opened his eyes. "After you understand the spell formation, take a strand of hair from the baby girl and place it inside." A complicated expression could be seen on Wang Lin's face as he looked up at the dark clouds that were beginning to dissipate. Slowly, the pattern on the stone table in the pavilion faded away. The woman from the snow domain closed her eyes for a moment, then bowed deeply to Wang Lin. Then she turned and walked off into the rain with the baby girl in her arms. Wang Lin didn't watch the woman leave. He stood there in the pavilion, staring blankly at the gradually lessening rain outside. His eyes were filled with confusion. Karma? Is this karma real? Past life, present life? Or is it fake? Am I just trying to complete it on my own? Wang Lin didn't understand. Outside the pavilion, the rain finally stopped, and a rainbow appeared in the sky. The butterfly that had been sheltering from the rain flapped its wings and flew off into the distance. Wang Lin watched as it flew off into the distance. Sighing, Wang Lin walked out of the pavilion and off into the distance, in the direction of the sea. 15 years after leaving the state of Zhao, Wang Lin traveled around the continent he was in. He arrived at the seashore, where he sat on a merchant ship that traveled between the two continents. He went to the other side of the sea, to the land there. The sea was boundless and magnificent. The wind howled as the waves rolled up and down the merchant ship. Wang Lin stood on the ship and smelled the sea breeze. His white hair fluttered and the sea breeze blew past the wrinkles on his face, but it couldn't take away the traces of time. The sun, the moon, and the stars on the sea were very different. This was Wang Lin's first time out at sea, but he didn't feel the slightest bit uncomfortable. Instead, he looked out at the sea, his chest filled with energy. In the sky above the sea, a flock of seabirds flew, facing the blazing sun and covering the entire surface of the sea. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. 5 months later, the merchant ship entered the boundless sea. As the wind and waves battered it, and the sailors sang their unique songs, Wang Lin revealed a happy smile. On one day in the 6th month, when the sky and the sea connected, the sun rose and shone brightly, and Wang Lin was woken up by cries of surprise. He walked out of his room and saw the sailors who had been with him for half a year kneeling on the ground, worshipping the east. Wang Lin looked in that direction, and his body suddenly trembled. He saw an illusory image appear on the hazy surface of the sea in the east. In the image was the mouth of a volcano. The volcano was erupting, and as the mountain trembled, 2 huge cracks that looked like dragons entangling with each other appeared. It was like a mark. Endless magma sprayed out, and black smoke came out, covering the sky in the image. There was no sound, only the image. The scene of the volcano erupting caused everyone on the ship to kneel. From a distance, the illusory image seemed to connect with the heavens and earth. It was extremely real, but it also gave off a hazy feeling, making it hard to tell what was real and what was fake. Wang Lin stared at the illusory world in a daze, and his mind roared. Real and fake, real and fake. The book said that there is a spirit in the sea, and its name is Sea Spirit. Its breath creates illusions, and it is like a celestial realm. This scene, is it real or fake? Does it really exist somewhere in the world, or is it an illusion? Sea Spirit, please calm down. Sea Spirit, please calm down. Trembling voices came from the mouths of the kneeling mortals. They saw this incomprehensible scene, and their hearts trembled. This wasn't the first time they had seen something like this, but they hadn't seen many in their lives. According to ancient legends, anyone who saw an illusory image when they went out to sea meant that the sea spirit was angry, and it wanted to punish all living beings that lived in the sea. As Wang Lin stared in shock, he didn't see the mortals around him take out large amounts of goods and throw them into the sea. They were trying to offer them to the sea spirit so that its anger would dissipate. This is most likely fake. It's not real, it's completely illusory. It's impossible for something like this to happen in this world. This isn't happening somewhere in the world. This is most likely caused by a certain celestial cultivator cultivating at the bottom of the sea, using a celestial art. Wang Lin murmured. He had comprehended many truths of the world, but what he was seeing right now was something he couldn't imagine. Fake. This is fake. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Just as he was murmuring, his voice suddenly stopped. His eyes widened and he stood there in a daze. His right hand subconsciously pointed at the illusory volcano in the distance, and a look of disbelief appeared on his face. In the illusory image, a woman appeared in the black clouds of the erupting volcano. She wore white, and although she wasn't a peerlessly beautiful woman, there was a hint of gentleness in her beauty. Her long hair fluttered in the wind, and her clothes fluttered in the wind. An otherworldly aura surrounded her, and she looked like a celestial fairy. The woman walked out from the black clouds and pointed down with her jade-like hand. The erupting volcano trembled and showed signs of extinguishing. The moment Wang Lin saw the woman, he felt as if he had lost all strength. He was completely stunned, and an indescribable sadness surged through his body. It was like a storm had swept over him, and at the same time 2 streams of tears fell from the corners of his eyes. It's her. Wang Lin was old to begin with, but now he seemed even older. He leaned against the wall of the ship and looked at the woman in white in the illusory world. His gaze seemed eternal. Chapter 1608. 2 hours later, the illusory scene gradually faded away from the people on the merchant ship and from Wang Lin's eyes. The mortal sailors were all silent. They still had a lingering fear in their hearts. They couldn't forget what they saw in the image, especially when the volcano erupted. Pieces of burning rocks scattered in all directions. Among them, there was a large group that was heading straight for them. It was as if they could rush out of the image and land on the ship. What they saw with their real eyes made it so that they couldn't tell what was real and what was fake. But they knew that this was the anger of the sea spirit. Wang Lin leaned against the wall of the ship as if he had lost all his strength. 2 streams of tears flowed down from the wrinkles on his face and soaked his clothes. He looked at where the image disappeared, and at this moment, his mind was completely blank. The only thing that remained was the image and the delicate figure in white. Is this real, or is this fake? Is this also a dream? After a long time, Wang Lin lowered his head and looked at the sea in a daze. Time passed. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. On the 9th month at sea, Wang Lin saw the true anger of the sea. On that night, dark clouds covered the sky above the sea. Thunder roared and bolts of lightning crossed each other. There were even several bolts of lightning that seemed as if they wanted to strike the sea. The sky and sea were shrouded in a terrifying flicker of light and darkness. Every time the lightning crossed, it would illuminate the sea. In that brief moment of light, one could see the waves surging and the violent crashing of the sea, as if it wanted to compete with the heavenly thunder. Strong winds howled and a massive amount of seawater was blown onto the ship. In this dark night, every sailor was filled with fear. It was as if they had gone crazy between life and death. They constantly controlled the merchant ship and struggled under the wrath of the sea. Everyone bowed in their hearts, wanting to leave behind their last words. They didn't know if they would be able to see the next sunrise. The sea breeze raged, thunder rumbled, lightning crossed, and huge waves surged. In the middle of the night, Wang Lin stood on the boat and tightly held onto the long pole beside him. His body seemed to be out of his control and was swaying violently. As the wind blew, his clothes were completely soaked and his white hair dripped with seawater. However, Wang Lin's eyes were as bright as the sun. He looked at the fury of the sea, at the unmoving waves, and his eyes grew brighter and brighter. His heart expanded infinitely until it could encompass the entire world. This is the power of heaven and earth, this is the true truth. This is the ruthless all creations. Wang Lin let out a long laugh. His ancient laughter echoed through the heavenly thunder and the tsunami. Even though it was weak, it revealed the vastness of his heart. He looked at the mortals struggling in this life and death crisis. He looked at the merchant ship shaking violently as if it could be swallowed up at any moment. As he watched all of this, Wang Lin could feel the unwillingness of the people on the ship. However, this unwillingness was still a bit weak. Compared to the wind and the tsunami, it was simply insignificant. As the wind and the waves became even more intense, a huge wave crashed into the ship. There was a loud cracking sound as the mast of the merchant ship was broken by the wave and fell down. One of the crew members couldn't dodge in time and was hit by the wave. Luckily, he wasn't seriously injured. He struggled to get up and continued to pull the ropes to fight for his survival. However, the merchant ship was like a lone leaf in the fury of the sea. It had no strength to fight against the roaring sea. As the waves crashed into it again and again, the entire ship emitted an unbearable sound, as if it was about to collapse. An aura of despair filled the ship and entered everyone's heart. Wang Lin no longer held on to the mast. Instead, he ignored his old age and joined the sailors to do their best to fight against the raging sea. "Don't give up, we still have strength." A middle-aged crew member laughed bitterly as he held onto the rope tightly. He let down a sail and allowed the waves to hit him. In that moment of life and death, he sang a song that all crew members who went out to sea were familiar with. "Don't give up, we still have a dream." A young man who wasn't even 20 years old wiped away the sweat on his face and shouted. It was as if he was trying to find the courage that was about to dissipate. "Don't be discouraged, we still have a tomorrow." More and more crew members, in the midst of the storm and the roaring of the world, their voices reverberated one by one, gradually merging together to form the most powerful voice of life. "Don't give up, we still have a future. Don't close your eyes, we still have to look at the blazing sun. The world is vast and mighty, but it cannot cover up our cries for life. We go to the sea to live, why should we fear death? The wrath of the sea spirit can terrify us, it can drown us, but it cannot stop our song. All of the sailors roared out this song that had been passed down since ancient times in the Suzaku Sea under the bombardment of the waves. Each and every one of their voices revealed a sense of fear, an unyielding will, a desire for life, and a fearlessness towards death. When Wang Lin's old body heard these shouts under the thunder, his eyes shined even brighter. This is a defiance. This is a defiance against the heavens. Life and death, this defiance is born from life and death. It is because of unwillingness, because of unyielding, that there is defiance. If there is no unwillingness, then there is no life and death. Life is life, death is death. I understand. Wang Lin was startled. Karma, life and death, true and false, he had always been confused, unable to see through them. But at this moment, as he heard the sea song, he felt as if he had been enlightened and his entire being was enlightened. Life and death. Like a mountain, life was life, death was death. Life was not life, death was not death. But in the end, after understanding everything, life was still life, death was still death. Everyone had a fear of life and death, and it was because of this fear that it could evolve into two directions. One was to follow, the other was to defy. To follow life and death was the first realm of life and death. But if it turned into defiance, then life was not life and death was not death. This was the second realm. People often said that they could see through life and death, but in truth, they could not see through life and death. It was impossible to see through life and death. At most, they could only look down on life and death. Under that defiance, they could look down on life and death. Only then could they say the heroic words, "What joy is life? What fear is death?" This was the determination to put him to death, but this was definitely not seeing through him. The third realm of life and death was also the principle that Wang Lin was pursuing. This final realm was also not seeing through, nor was it transcendence, but a sentence. This sentence filled Wang Lin's mind, but he could not say it. It was as if there was a barrier that prevented him from saying it. Amidst the wind and rain, those words that looked down on life and death, and those words that refused to yield echoed from the Ladle Sea Ballad. Gradually, the sky thunder disappeared and the lightning went far away. The wind and waves on the sea also slowly subsided. A long night passed by until the sun rose in the sky. Cries of having survived a calamity continued to spread from the ship. Wang Lin looked at them and revealed a smile. He sat at the bow of the ship and looked at the rising sun. He saw the white bird flying in the sky and letting out cries. It wasn't until the 11th month of sailing that a continent could be seen at the end of the sea. When the people on the ship saw the continent, bursts of joyful cries came from the ship. After waving at the crew that had been with them for almost a year, Wang Lin left the merchant ship at dusk with the song from a few months ago and arrived on this strange continent. There were many mortal countries here, as well as many sects and cultivators that he had met before. Among the many countries, there was one called the country of Hofun. On this continent that was separated from his hometown by the sea, Wang Lin's expression was calm as he walked step by step into this strange world. He looked at the strange mountains, the strange water, and the strange faces he met along the way. Even though he had never come to this place in his life, his name had spread to many places in the past decade, including this continent. Although it wasn't as famous as it was in his hometown, Wang Lin didn't care about any of this. He was like a traveler that traveled through mountains and rivers and visited many countries and cities. In the blink of an eye, 3 years passed. It had been 19 years since he left the country of Zhao. Wang Lin's body wasn't as strong as it was in the past, and he felt tired. He held a walking stick in his hand, but he still persisted and walked step by step. He went to many sects and saw many immortal cultivators. He also saw many of the nobility and emperors of the mortal world. Gradually, His name became known to countless people in this strange landmass. No matter what country, no matter what sect, everyone knew of an old man named Wang Lin. He was a grand scholar that traveled around the world as if he was looking for something. As he grew older, he began to speak less and less. However, there were times when he didn't need to speak. He only needed to use his eyes, which seemed to contain the wisdom of the world, to look at people, and they would be lost in the world, not knowing when they would wake up. In the autumn of the 19th year, Wang Lin arrived at a place filled with volcanoes. When he arrived, one of the volcanoes was erupting. It was very far away, but Wang Lin could see the billowing black smoke in the sky. A heat wave came from far away and landed on his body. Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the black smoke in the sky. His ancient eyes revealed a hint of gentleness that had never been seen before. He saw a white figure walk out from the black smoke. It was a woman with black hair that draped over her shoulders. She was very beautiful, and she seemed to be collecting something from the erupting volcanoes. She held a jade bottle in her hand, and as she turned, she saw Wang Lin in the distance. This gaze was unforgettable to Wang Lin and made his body tremble. It was as if he had waited for this gaze for more than 1,000 years. It was as if he had waited his entire life for this gaze. It was as if he had come here to wait for this woman, and now he was looking back. Chapter 1609. There was an old saying that a glance back and a smile could charm 100 women. However, when the woman in white looked back, she didn't smile. This caused her gaze to have a different meaning. This limit was very unfamiliar. The woman in white's gaze swept past Wang Lin. There was no sense of familiarity. It was as if she was looking at a complete stranger. After withdrawing her gaze, the woman in white turned around and disappeared into the distance. Wang Lin stared at the woman in a daze. He watched her gradually disappear until he couldn't see her anymore. Looking back, yearning, Wang Lin closed his eyes. After a long time, he let out a soft sigh. In my life, all the people I met in my dreams felt an indescribable sense of familiarity. Zhou Rui was like this, Su Fei was like this, Lu Mei was like this. In the 19 years I left Zhao, all the sects I went to and all the cultivators I met in my dreams were like this. Only she, only she. Wang Lin's face became even older. He leaned against a withered tree and opened his ancient eyes. As he silently pondered, his eyes were filled with confusion, but even more so was a complex sense of enlightenment. Wang Lin felt bitter as he walked forward in a daze. He didn't know how far he had walked. He couldn't see the sun rise or set. He didn't leave any footprints on the land of Hofun, but his body walked further and further away. Day after day, month after month. The complex look in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger. However, he still used that confusion to cover up the truth that he had almost completely understood. It wasn't that he didn't want to believe it, it was just that he still had a sliver of hope. There was a sliver of hope that even he didn't believe. On a certain day, a mountain appeared in front of him. This was a dead volcano. Perhaps at some point in the past, it had erupted and spewed out endless magma. Countless rocks scattered in all directions and black smoke rose into the sky. But now it was dead. The ground was filled with craters and the ground around it was covered in black rock. An aura of death filled the air. There was no one in a radius of hundreds of miles. Under this dead volcano, Wang Lin's footsteps stopped. He stared blankly at the mountain, and after a long time, the confusion in his eyes collapsed. His entire body trembled, and he subconsciously took a few steps back. That's it. Wang Lin was very familiar with the mountain. It was the same mountain he had seen exploding out in the illusory world above the sea. The two fissures on the mountain that looked like entangled dragons and snakes were like a mark of life and death, a mark that would never be extinguished. It told Wang Lin its existence. As he looked at the mountain, Wang Lin could no longer deceive himself. He could no longer hide what he already knew. Everything that had happened above the sea seemed to overlap with what was happening right now. The illusory world above the sea and the real world above the sea fused together into an invisible power. This power rushed into Wang Lin's body, causing his mind to roar. This power was so strong that it washed away all the lies Wang Lin had endured over the past 50 years. For the first time, he was truly facing himself, facing the world. I should have understood it all those years ago. It was just that I didn't want to believe it. Wang Lin, I was just like you, deceiving myself. But don't forget, I also know the Tao of deception. Can you deceive yourself? Can you deceive yourself? Wang Lin pointed at the dead volcano, threw his head back, and laughed. His laughter was filled with sorrow. She's the only one. She doesn't feel any sense of familiarity toward me. She looks at me like a stranger. Wang Lin, oh Wang Lin, if this is my previous life, if I will be together with Li Muan in the future, does that mean I have to come back and sever the karma between me and Li Muan? If this is my reincarnation, then at the end of the reincarnation cycle, does that mean I will erase Li Muan's existence, and make her truly a stranger to me? If this is my dream, if the dream of cultivating the Tao is real, then is it because of my sorrow, because of my love for Li Muan, that I want her to forget me in this dream? Is all of this so that in the future or reincarnation, or in the world where she wakes up from this dream, she will no longer have to endure the long and painful wait, no longer have to endure the helpless end of her lifespan, no longer have to live like a living dead for 2,000 years? I want her to be able to live her life happily and peacefully, just like before she met me. Perhaps she will have another marriage, or perhaps she will have another Taoist companion. In her life, there will not be a cultivator named Wang Lin who she waits for, who makes her feel lost. Is that how it is? Wang Lin laughed, and as he laughed, tears flowed down his cheeks. The more he understood, the more he came to understand everything about the world. To see through life and death, true and false, might be confusing, but at this moment, what appeared in Wang Lin's heart was an indescribable, piercing pain. Wang Lin, do you really want to do this? Do you really want her to forget you? Do you really want the other you to sever the karma that has accompanied you for more than 2,000 years? Wang Lin's voice was shrill. I have experienced a lot in my life, and it all revolves around the word karma. This karma. Wang Lin, you can't see through it. Even if you have cultivated for your entire life, even if your cultivation is heaven-shaking, even if you are the lord of the sealed realm, you still don't understand what karma is. You swallowed 3 Tao fruits and used the dream Tao to return to 2,000 years ago. You used your own thoughts, the Tao fruits, the power of the dream Tao, and your own memories to weave this world. Wang Lin staggered and sat down on a rock. His hair was disheveled, and he looked like he had gone crazy. You weaved this world, and everything here was imagined by you. Do you really think I don't know that I can't see through it? Wang Lin's laughter became even more shrill. You made everything very real. You weaved everything too well. You even learned Lu Jinbiao's Tao of deception in the dream Tao and deceived yourself. You made yourself forget all of this, forget all of your memories, forget that this was the dream Tao. But you underestimated me, underestimated yourself. You are Wang Lin, the Lord of the Sealed Realm. Your cultivation is heaven-piercing, and you can kill third-step cultivators before reaching the third step. You have passed the life and death calamity, and are about to enter the void realm of third-step cultivators. However, I am also Wang Lin. Although I haven't cultivated, I understand the heavens and the earth. My righteous aura can shock ghosts and gods. Even if you are before me, so what? You deceived yourself, immersing yourself in the world you weave. You thought you could use this method to borrow the power of the 3 Tao fruits to dominate the world and form your own cycle of reincarnation. Within your own cycle of reincarnation, you weaved what you thought was karma. Do you think I don't understand this? You wanted to meet a great scholar, to meet someone who could help you comprehend the heavens and earth, so Su Dao appeared. You wanted to sever your karma with Lu Mei, so I met Lu Mei twice and Lu Mei gave me pills. Before your dream Dao, you heard about red butterflies matter, so in your reincarnation dream Dao, you brought red butterflies matter in. In this dream you completed a cycle of karma. You also knew about the past of the soul refining sex Nian Tian, so you also thought you could complete the soul refining sex karma. Did I not know? At first, I didn't know and was confused, but the moment I met the madman, the moment the fire was extinguished, and the moment I saw the handprint on the madman's right wrist, I understood. I deceived myself, I didn't let myself think too much, but after more than 50 years, I deceived myself for more than 50 years. Today, I don't want to deceive myself anymore. Do you think this is karma? Let me tell you, you're wrong. You're completely anchored. I don't care about other things, but you want to sever your karma with Li Muan. I can't accept this. You think this is for her own good, that you want Li Muan to stop suffering, that you want to give her a complete life, but all of this was made up by you. It's all fake. What is real and what is fake? You don't understand it as well as I do. You still don't want to wake up? You still don't want to wake up? You think you can sever it? Sever it? Sever it? Sever it? Wang Lin's ancient voice let out a roar at the sky. As he roared, the world rumbled and endless thunder echoed. Lightning intersected and filled the sky. This scene was like the wrath of the heavens. At the instant the heavens were enraged, a gigantic vortex appeared in the sky. The vortex spun with loud rumbling sounds as if it wanted to tear the world apart. Within the vortex, an endless world of darkness appeared. Within that world of darkness, a red glow appeared. Within that red glow were two corpses with their eyes closed. One of the corpses had a head of white hair, and its closed eyes showed signs of struggle. It was as if Wang Lin's roars had shaken its mind and attacked its soul, and it was showing signs of awakening. You can't sever it. Wang Lin pointed at the huge vortex in the sky. His white hair floated in the wind, and a righteous aura spread out from his body and shot into the sky. Since you can't sever it, then don't interfere with me. Your so-called karma is like child's play to me. Wang Lin waved his sleeve, and thunder rumbled in the sky. The huge vortex rotated rapidly and became smaller and smaller until it disappeared. It turned into a white dot, which was the white bird. It flapped its wings and circled in the sky for a long time before flying off into the distance. Wang Lin had long since understood all of this. As a great Confucian, how could he not understand? What is karma? What is life and death? What is true and false? I came here because of these three questions, and no one in the world understands them better than I do. From now on, Tao fruits, memories, and this fake world don't interfere with me. Chapter 16:10. Looking at the bird flying further and further away, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and looked at the dead volcano. After a long time, he turned around and slowly walked away with old step. This was the 6th month of the 19th year after he left the state of Zhao. This was also the 57th year after he drank 2 cups of wine at the inn on the main road. This year, Wang Lin wasn't even 80 years old. Aside from the country of Hofun, there were other countries on the continent, but Wang Lin didn't go. The country of Hofun was the last place he visited. Here, in a mountain outside of Li Muan's sect, there was a broken house. It was built by the guardian of the mountain at an unknown time, but there was no one there. This was where Wang Lin lived. From this location, he could see Li Muan's sect in the distance. He could feel Li Muan's existence. What is karma? Don't think about it, don't think about it. Just watch the sun rise and set, watch the rain and snow fall, watch the seasons change. Don't care if it's all real or fake. Don't care about the confusion between life and death. Just silently spend the rest of your life. The sun would rise once, and the sun would set once. Whether it was the rising sun or the setting sun, there would always be an old figure sitting on a green boulder on the mountain on the horizon, silently looking at the mountain in the distance. All karma in the world, if you say it is karma, then it is karma. If you say it is karma, then it is karma. Why is there a need to be obsessed? Why is there a need to find out? Wang Lin's expression was calm. During the years, his figure seemed to be eternal as he sat there and looked at the mountain before him. He didn't eat and there was no food. He forgot about hunger, forgot about everything. Wang Lin looked at the sky and his smile contained a meaning that people couldn't understand. During the years, he saw many cultivators fly out from the sect in the distance. Among them was Li Muan. This world, this starry sky, everything is formed by the convergence of karmic fate. This is karmic fate. Wang Lin smiled. Every day felt like a year, and every year felt like a dream. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 7 years had passed. During those 7 years, Wang Lin had gained much enlightenment, and gained enlightenment of heaven and earth on the limestone. During those 7 years, it was only natural that Li Muan's sect had noticed Wang Lin. Gradually, the elders of the sect began to arrive. When they saw Wang Lin's current state, and how he was muttering to himself, they were all moved. Gradually, Wang Lin was no longer alone on the green boulder. He was surrounded by numerous old men and cultivators. However, none of the cultivators that came to this place left. They calmly surrounded Wang Lin, as if they were listening to the Tao. Year after year, more and more cultivators came from Hofun, from all over the country, from all the cultivation countries, and from all the cultivation sects, as if they were being summoned. Among these cultivators, there were those who hadn't reached the foundation building stage, those who had reached the soul transformation stage, and one of them walked through the air. His cultivation level was at the ascendant stage. However, no matter what cultivation level they were at, none of them existed in the eyes of Wang Lin, who was sitting on the limestone. No matter what cultivation level they were at, there was only one spot on the mountain, no more, no less. They didn't fight over it, they just silently sat there and listened to Wang Lin's words, which he would only speak once a year. When Wang Lin didn't speak, they seemed to be in a meditative state. It was as if there was an invisible force here that was guiding their thoughts in search of enlightenment. When karma gathers together, it will become karma in the end. This is karma. During these few decades of searching and comprehending, I've understood that there's actually another thing between karma and karma. This thing is karma. If there is no karma, then there is no karma. Wang Lin had that indescribable smile on his face as he spoke again this year. More and more cultivators sat on the mountain. In the end, there wasn't even room for the lower half of the mountain. Everything within dozens of kilometers of Wang Lin was filled with cultivators sitting there. Almost all of the cultivators on this continent came here because of that mysterious feeling. Gradually, the surrounding area was filled with countless cultivators. They all sat there facing Wang Lin as if they were worshipping him. Gradually, more and more cultivators came from other continents. Some came through transfer arrays. Among them were the soul refining sects Nian Tian, Du Tian, and a large amount of soul refining sect disciples. There were also the cultivators of Shuiyu. Under the lead of the cold woman, they all came here because of that mysterious feeling. They silently sat down and listened to the Tao. In the arms of that indifferent woman, there was already a baby girl who seemed to never grow up. The Four-Nation Alliance, Zhou Wutai, and all the familiar faces from Wang Lin's dream arrived one by one. Yun Kezi was still sloppy as he sat on the ground in the distance. Even Ting Huayuan, Huang Long, Su Fei, Zhou Rui, and even Wang Zhua appeared in the distance. They all looked at Wang Lin, who was sitting on the rock at the top of the mountain. In the end, even Rosefinch's son arrived. He silently pondered for a long time above Wang Lin before sitting down. The reason why Lu Mei and I were able to meet and form karma with each other was because of fate. The reason why the soul refining sect and I were able to unite is also because of fate. Whether it is red butterfly or everything in the world, karma is like this. Even in this dream, it is the same. Fate, fate, fate. This fate is a kind of external force. Because of its change, there is a cause, and when the two combine, there is an effect. For example, when a man and a woman get together, they will have a child. The man and woman are the cause, and when they get together, they will give birth to a child. Wang Lin smiled and let out a sigh. At this moment, he saw a person walk out from the sect. This person looked the same as before. She was wearing white, her hair was draped over her shoulders, and she had a gentle expression on her face. It was Li Muan. Come. Wang Lin looked even older, but there was a heaven-like aura coming from his body. It was as if he had become the heavens and the earth during these years of comprehension. Wang Lin stretched out his right hand and called out to Li Muan. His eyes were gentle, and even his voice was filled with longing. Li Muan looked confused, but there was an indescribable feeling in her heart. She felt that Wang Lin was very familiar, very familiar. It was as if this familiarity was carved into her soul, into her bones, and into her reincarnation. Even if she reincarnated thousands of times, even if she drank thousands of mouthfuls of Meng Po's soup, she would never forget. It was just that there was a mark like a seal in her thoughts, preventing her from remembering all of this. It was as if it wanted to cut them off. Unknowingly, she walked to Wang Lin's side. Wang Lin pulled her hand and sat beside him. Under the gazes of countless cultivators, they sat together on the bluestone. However, karma comes from fate, and in the end, it will disappear from the world. The reason it is called vanishing is because it first exists. If it doesn't exist, it won't disappear. If it doesn't disappear, then it is surnamed emptiness. That is how I understand it. But whether it is finished or not, whether it exists or doesn't exist, it is not the end, but emptiness. With a smile, Wang Lin placed his finger between Li Muan's eyebrows. There seemed to be no power behind the finger, but as soon as it touched down, the seal in Li Muan's thoughts collapsed. Li Muan's body trembled, and she became the first person in the world to regain her memories. Wang Lin. Li Muan's eyes were filled with moisture, and 2 streams of tears flowed down her cheeks. She stared at Wang Lin's old face, then gently stroked it. More tears flowed down her cheeks. However, those tears contained happiness and warmth. She didn't care about Wang Lin's age at all, and hugged him tightly. I don't exist, and all of this doesn't exist. That is why there is the word vanish. It contains truth and falsehood, life and death. Karma, truth and falsehood, life and death. In truth, it is all about fate, surnamed emptiness, and the next sentence, if I say it, then this dream will end. Wang Lin looked at Li Muan and spoke softly. It had been more than 60 years since the young man from the state of Zhao passed out drunk in an inn. Outside the bluestone, at the foot of the mountain, in a circumference of hundreds of li, even thousands of li, more and more cultivators appeared. In the end, all the people who had met Wang Lin in the dream, even if they had only met once, all appeared. They sat there quietly, looking at the bluestone at the top of the mountain, and at the 2 people sitting on it. Time seemed to last for an eternity. It was unknown how much time had passed. Wang Lin held Li Muan, and they sat there together, watching the sun rise and set, and counting the years together. Karma cannot be severed. It is originally empty. Karma is karma. Fate gathers, scattered surnamed emptiness. Wang Lin's voice echoed in the world and turned into countless willow catkins. It was unknown where these willow catkins came from, but they knew where they were going. They floated in the sky and slowly danced in the air. They floated down densely and landed on the bodies of all the cultivators within a circumference of 1,000 li. It was as if they had found the records of their lives. 2 willow catkins that were stuck together slowly floated down in front of Wang Lin and Li Muan. The way they stuck together made it seem as if the 2 of them were holding hands and would never be separated. That day you watched me close my eyes. The moment I closed my eyes, Your sorrowful expression was imprinted in my heart. In this dream, I want to stay with you. I want to see you leave, and I want to see you wake up. I'm still in the dream, waiting for you." Li Muwen looked at Wang Lin, and her eyes were as gentle as water. She caressed Wang Lin's wrinkled face and murmured softly, "Today, the second watch." There was one more chapter that he was writing. He hoped that he would be able to receive the blessings of all fellow Taoists on his birthday tomorrow. Chapter 16:11. Li Muwen's voice was filled with gentleness, a gentleness that was as deep as the sea. When it entered Wang Lin's ears, it caused Wang Lin's heart to feel calm and gentle. His old face seemed to become a little younger at this moment. He looked at Li Muwen and forgot about the passage of time. Li Muwen's words were engraved into Wang Lin's heart in his dream. He could not forget it, or perhaps it overlapped with the life in his dream. The valley that he had lived with her for many years appeared before his eyes. Flowers bloomed and withered in that valley. Day after day, year after year, only the two of them remained, their eternal figures. The sound of the zither filled the air, intoxicating people and making them unwilling to wake up. Wang Lin did not want to wake up. In that valley, he looked at Li Muwen's beautiful face, white hair and withered bones. That cruel scene seemed to tear his heart apart, causing him to feel pain and sorrow. He remembered that he held Li Muwen's corpse and let out his strongest mournful cry towards the sky. "Even if the heavens want you to die, I will take you back." That voice echoed in Wang Lin's mind at all times. It came from the dream and merged with all of Wang Lin's strength. "In this dream, let me stay with you until the end of time." Li Muwen tightly hugged Wang Lin, as if she was afraid that Wang Lin would leave. Tears flowed down her face as she softly murmured, saying it again and again and again. She could not tell how many times she had said it. Wang Lin raised his withered hands and gently stroked Li Muwen's black hair. His expression was gentle as he nodded. After this woman died, her shadow became deeper and deeper in Wang Lin's 1,000 years of loneliness and memories, until she became everything to Wang Lin. Whether it was Lu Mei, Li Qianmei, or any of the beauties that Wang Lin met later on, none of them could replace her shadow. They could not enter Wang Lin's heart. Wang Lin knew that his heart had already died that year, that month, and that day when he held Li Muwen in his arms and roared at the sky. The 7 colors in the sky were missing one color. "I will use my entire life to find her." Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the sky. There seemed to be a white bird circling in the sky, and he softly asked himself, "Are you willing to cut it off? Can you cut it off?" On the 31st year after they left Zhao, Wang Lin and Li Muwen sat on a rock. Thousands of kilometers below the mountain, there were countless cultivators sitting. Wang Lin held Li Muwen and smiled as he comprehended the heavens with her. Gradually, Wang Lin's words became less and less. From once a year, he would only speak once every few years. Fate is surnamed void, this is karma. If you understand, you can achieve Tao. On the 32nd winter after he left Zhao, as snow fell from the sky, Wang Lin stood up from the rock. His body was very weak, and he could feel that his life had reached its end. There was only one last step left, and even if he didn't want to, he would die. This dream was very real, very real. In this dream, he was immortal. Death was a kind of ending, the end of a dream, but it was also the beginning of everything. Li Muwen was still very young. She gently held Wang Lin and stood with him on the rock, never leaving him. Lu Mei stood in the distance, silently looking at Wang Lin and Li Muwen. The confusion in her eyes grew deeper and deeper, until it became an indescribable pain that caused her to lower her head. "Do you still remember where home is?" Wang Lin's voice was filled with the vicissitudes of life. There were tears in Li Muwen's eyes as she nodded her head. "Take me there," said Wang Lin as he stroked Li Muwen's hair. His aged face revealed 2,000 years of longing. Li Muwen bit her lower lip as she held on to Wang Lin. She leapt into the air and broke through the void with him. Under the gazes of countless cultivators, they disappeared into the distance. Then, he disappeared into the horizon, disappearing from everyone's sight. It was as if he had never appeared, never arrived. The wind blew past Wang Lin, causing his hair to dance behind his head. His hair fell on Li Muan's face and intertwined with her hair. The black and white anchored each other, as if they would never separate. Li Muan's gaze was gentle. As they moved forward, she would occasionally look at Wang Lin. Her face was filled with warmth and attachment. Wang Lin looked at the land under his feet as the wind whistled past. He looked at the volcanoes, the plains, the jungles, and even the capital cities of the mortal world. He looked at the mortals that were like black dots on the ground. After an unknown period of time, the color of the ground under their feet gradually turned emerald green. Gradually, an endless mountain range appeared. Within the mountain range, there was a hidden valley. That valley was his second home in his dream, other than the country of Zhao. It was his and hers home. The beam of light landed on the ground, and the countless plants and trees down below began to move. The leaves rustled, but quickly calmed down. Li Muan supported Wang Lin as they appeared in the valley. The valley was vast and empty, filled with weeds. Among the weeds were a few wildflowers that emanated a fragrant aroma. "We're home." Wang Lin's expression was one of absent-mindedness as he looked around at the valley. A sense of longing and sorrow rose up from his soul. As he looked around, the sorrow filled his heart, and his gaze came to rest on Li Muan. Li Muan also looked around. After a long moment, a happy smile appeared on her face. "Wang Lin, let's not think about whether or not this is a dream. Let's stay here for a while, okay?" "Okay." Time slowly passed. The weeds in the valley had all disappeared, and a simple log cabin appeared in the middle of the valley. Year after year, the beautiful sound of a zither echoed in the sky above the valley. Amidst the sound of the zither, Wang Lin sat off to the side, holding a walking stick in his hand. He looked even older than before, and his face was covered with wrinkles. Brown spots could be seen on his skin. Those were the spots of an old man. Each spot was like the growth rings of a tree, imprinted with the marks of time. He wore the same white robe as before, and had a smile on his face as he listened to Li Muan's zither music. He looked at the woman sitting in front of him, playing the zither with both hands. The woman was no longer as young as she had been when she first arrived. She was now like him, an old woman. This was caused by Li Muan's magical divine ability. She didn't want Wang Lin to grow old and look at her young self. She wanted to be with him, like mortals, counting the white hairs on each other's heads as they lived out the rest of their lives. How could Wang Lin not know what she was thinking? He didn't stop her, but he gently looked at his wife. His wife. There was a kind of love that didn't care about each other's age or appearance. All they cared about was the soul that moved in that one glance. There was a kind of love that didn't care about the passage of time or the separation of yin and yang. All they cared about was the longing in that one dream. There was a kind of love that was like this. Amidst the sound of the zither, under the setting sun, the two old people in the valley silently looked at each other. The smile of the old man was the smile of the old woman. He looked at her as she played the zither. It was as if there was nothing else between the two of them in this world besides each other. It didn't matter if the sky fell or the earth cracked. It didn't matter if the sun and moon alternated. It didn't matter if the weather changed. Everything was insignificant in front of these two old lovers. 1 year, 1 year. That white bird never appeared again, as if it had left the dream. Under the gazes of each other, amidst the sound of the zither, Wang Lin and Li Muan experienced the revival of all things in spring, the fluttering willow catkins in summer, the enveloping sun, and the rustling of leaves in autumn. The shadows of the two were swept away. Together, they went to see the rain and snow, and they went through winter after winter that wasn't cold. This year was the 35th year since Wang Lin left the state of Zhao. This year, Wang Lin felt the call of death. He understood that one day, if he closed his eyes, he would never be able to open them again, and he would walk out of this world of dreams. That day was getting closer and closer. In the autumn of this year, the sky was filled with withered leaves. The leaves were blown into the valley and slowly rolled on the ground. One of the leaves was blocked by Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin leaned down and struggled to pick up the leaf in his hand that was covered in age spots. Fallen leaves returned to their roots. Wan Er, I'm going to leave. Send me on my last journey and accompany me to the state of Zhao. Take Big Fortune and we'll go to the city of Su. We'll go there to complete the last date with myself in my dream. Back then, he didn't come, but this time, he will definitely come. Li Muan's white hair was filled with reluctance and attachment as she supported Wang Lin out of their home. They turned into a ray of light and flew toward the other end of the sea, toward the continent where the state of Zhao existed. This was a dream but also not a dream. It was created by Wang Lin's spell borrowing the Dao fruit. The decades inside the dream were the same as outside the dream. Outside the dream was the Cultivation Alliance, the 4 major star systems, and the final battle between the inner and outer realms. During these decades, the war between the inner and outer realms had reached a boiling point. The Outer Realm army spread the news of the death of the Lord of the Sealed Realm and launched a crazy invasion of the Inner Realm. The ancient barrier that Qing Lin had borrowed had collapsed more than 30 years ago. Countless Outer Realm cultivators had rushed in, and there had been many battles. Both sides had suffered heavy casualties and blood covered the star system. The smell of blood was unimaginable, and the 4 major star systems of the Inner Realm had become a hellish world. In this increasingly cruel life and death situation, many of the third step cultivators in the Inner Realm gave up on the Cloud Sea and Summoned River. They gathered all their power in the Luo Tian and Brilliant Void to make their final struggle. During those times of despair, the rumor of the Lord of the Sealed Realm's death was deeply rooted in everyone's hearts. Even though Shimizu had turned into Wang Lin more than 10 years ago, Shimizu had been seriously injured by Heaven Void God and had almost died. As a result, the news of the Lord of the Sealed Realm's death could no longer be stopped. It was an irreparable blow to the minds of the Inner Realm cultivators. 1 month ago, the Brilliant Void also faced a difficult choice. Should they give up and go to Luo Tian to defend, or should they stay in the Lord of the Sealed Realm's hometown, Suzaku, and fight to the death against the Outer Realm? Chapter 1612. This was the 35th year since Wang Lin left Zhao, and it was also this autumn. It was autumn in the country of Hofun. When the autumn wind blew across the sea and landed on the country of Zhao, it was already winter. The entire country of Zhao was covered in white snow. It was as if the country was wearing a white coat. It was as far as the eye could see. Only the 2 rows of carriages on the official road gradually moved into the distance with the creaking sound of the ladle. Along the official road, one could see an inn. This inn was covered in a thick layer of snow. It was bleak and there was no one inside. More than 10 years ago, most of the inn had already collapsed, injuring a few of the people who stayed there. The owner of the inn had gotten into a lawsuit and died in prison. As for the waiter from back then, he had also left quietly. No one knew where he had gone or where he had taken root. Perhaps he was still alive, or perhaps he had already died. Over time, the inn that had once made the great scholar of the kingdom of Zhao drunk slowly turned into ruins. It stood on the side of the official road, weathered by the wind and rain, and fell into ruin. The carriage stopped for a moment when it passed by the inn. The curtain of the carriage was lifted and a burst of hot air came out. It didn't spread far in this cold world before disappearing. An old man in white looked through the curtain at the abandoned inn that was covered in white blood. His eyes were filled with nostalgia. After a long time, he let out a sigh and put down the curtain. Wan Er, there used to be an inn here. I woke up here. An old voice came from the carriage as the carriage gradually moved off into the distance. As they went further away, the sound from the carriage gradually weakened. In the end, the snow covered the world and everything became a blur. Only the howling of the cold wind continued to blow, as if it didn't know fatigue. An old man's time was short. They could count the time they would return. They could silently look at the blue sky and white clouds as they watched the snow fall. Similarly, an old man's time was infinite. What was infinite were their memories, and they could forget the time they would return. This carriage didn't move fast. As it moved along the official road, it slowly headed toward the small mountain village at the foot of the Hengyu mountain. At dusk of the second day, the snow was still falling. It was getting heavier and heavier and showed no signs of stopping. The snow sealed the mountain and sealed the earth. Only the carriage silently moved on the ground and got closer and closer to the mountain village. When dusk passed and the evening arrived, the mountain village in the wind and snow came into view. The mountain village in the snow looked quiet from afar, especially in the evening. Even the usually agile big dogs were huddled in their nests. Even when they heard the creaking sound of the wheels in the wind and snow, they were unwilling to raise their heads to bark. Every family was next to a burning stove. On this cold winter night, they used the fire to keep themselves warm. Being together with their families warmed their hearts. The double warmth of their hearts and bodies could allow the mortals in this world to no longer feel cold during the winter. Among the many houses in the mountain village, there was one house with two big dogs crawling together to keep warm. Aside from that, there was only snow. In the house in the courtyard, there was a weak ball of fire that shone through the yellow window paper. It scattered in the courtyard, causing the color of the white snow to dim. It was like an exhausted sunset that was struggling to slowly lower its head and was about to return to the world. In the light of the fire, a hunchbacked figure could be seen behind the window paper. That figure held a thin torch in his hand and was fiddling with the candle flame to make it brighter. It was an old man with a face full of wrinkles. He could not even open his eyes completely. He sat there and stared blankly at the candlelight. After a long time, he tightened his cotton-padded jacket and looked down at his right wrist. He was Big Fortune. It has been many years. He should be back soon. Big Fortune looked at his right wrist. There was a golden handprint there. He gently stroked the handprint, and a look of reminiscence appeared in his eyes. He had waited here for 35 years. He still remembered Wang Lin telling him before he left that he would be back. Wang Lin told him to wait here and keep waiting. He said that there would never be another 38 years in his life. He will be back soon. Big Fortune looked tired. He stood up with the help of his walking stick and was about to rest. However, at this moment, the two big dogs in the courtyard that were too cold to open their mouths started to whimper. The sound of the carriage wheels squeaking through the snow could be faintly heard. Finally, it stopped outside the courtyard. The door of the carriage opened, and Wang Lin walked out of the carriage against the wind and snow. Behind him, Li Muwen, who had already become an old woman, walked out of the carriage with a gentle smile on her face. She stood beside Wang Lin and looked at the courtyard and the house with the light coming out of it. With a creak, the door of the house was pushed open from the inside. Big Fortune stared blankly outside the courtyard and saw Wang Lin standing there after the wind and snow. He grinned like a fool. "I'm back." Wang Lin looked at the old Big Fortune and smiled. The wind and snow became even stronger. However, the fire in the house in the snow-covered courtyard burned brightly. In this cold, the master and servant, after being separated for 35 years, met again. That night the wind howled and a lot of snow fell. However, the three people in the house did not feel the cold. Instead, they felt the warmth. When the snow fell in the early morning, the snowflakes became sparse and fell sporadically. Although the sunlight couldn't melt the snow, it made people feel refreshed. Especially when the sunlight fell on the snow, it made the ground look faintly dazzling. At first glance, it was difficult to open one's eyes. That morning, Wang Lin brought Li Muwen and Big Fortune to the grave of Wang Lin's parents at the back of the village. They knelt in front of the grave. Li Muwen also knelt beside Wang Lin. The two of them stood there in silence for a long time. "Father, mother, her name is Li Muwen. She is your daughter-in-law. I brought her to see you." Wang Lin did not cry or shed any tears. He held Li Muan's hand and bowed to the grave spirit. Several days later, in the wind and snow, the carriage left the mountain village and headed toward the city of Su. In the carriage, Wang Lin lifted the curtain and looked back at his home that was gradually hidden in the snow. The scene of Sher San carrying a bamboo backpack appeared before his eyes. Under his parents' kind gazes, every few steps he took, he had to look back. When he couldn't see his parents, he finally turned his head and walked toward the future. At that time, he was still ignorant. He didn't know what his future path was. He only knew that he wanted his parents to live a good life, and that he wanted his relatives to look up to his family. Now, as he sat in the carriage and watched, the scenes of the past gradually blurred until they were replaced by the wind and snow. With a sigh, Wang Lin lowered the curtain. The carriage left. In the spring of the year 74, the carriage arrived at the city of Su. In the spring of the city of Su, all living things came back to life. Especially after the snow melted, the fragrance of the earth and grass filled the heart and was unforgettable. This smell was very familiar to Wang Lin. He searched for that fragrance. It was just like the first time Wang Lin came to Su. He rented a pleasure boat, bought osmanthus wine, and sat on the pleasure boat with Li Muan. They drank wine, watched the sun rise and set, and enjoyed the rest of their lives. Big Fortune was the same as before. He sat to the side and looked at Wang Lin with a happy smile on his face. This is a date. He will definitely come. Wang Lin held the wine jug. He had already entered the twilight of his life, and the age spots on his hands were even more numerous and darker. He held the jug and took a sip. The sound of the zither echoed. It was Li Muan plucking the strings. The days passed one by one. After a few months, spring in the city of Su quietly passed. It was another year in June. It was the 6th month of the year 75. Willow catkins fluttered in the air once again. Wang Lin sat at the bow of the boat and drank osmanthus wine. He laughed loudly. Heaven and earth are the reverse journeys of all living things. Time is the passing guest of 100 generations. And life is like a dream. How happy is it? And how happy is it? As Wang Lin laughed, the pleasure boat moved along the river. Before it was a stone bridge. There was no one on the bridge, but there was a white bird in the sky above the bridge. It had been a very, very long time since the bird had appeared. Now that it had appeared, it circled around the stone bridge, and gradually, the streets around the bridge became blurry. It was as if everything in the world had become blurry and indistinct at that moment. Only the stone bridge and the pleasure boat were particularly eye-catching in the painting. As the pleasure boat approached, Wang Lin's eyes shined brighter than they had in the past 70 years. He stood up and looked at the stone bridge with bright eyes. It's here, Wang Lin murmured. Just at this moment, the white bird whistled over and landed on the stone bridge from the sky. It turned into a white crystal light and spread out. From afar, it looked like a white vortex. A person slowly walked out from the vortex. This was a young man with a head of white hair. His cold expression was filled with confusion as he looked around in a daze. It wasn't until the pleasure boat got closer that the young man's eyes suddenly looked at the pleasure boat and at Wang Lin on it. Their gazes met in the blur of the world. In an instant it was as if time had stopped. Or it could be said that time in this dream had indeed stopped. Li Muan's hands that were playing the zither froze and the zither music disappeared. Big Fortune sat on the side and looked at his right wrist motionlessly. The sound of the river water around them disappeared. The willow catkins in the sky no longer danced and floated in the air, motionless. Everything in heaven and earth, came to a complete stop. Only the young man on the stone bridge and Wang Lin on the bow remained the same. Why don't you come over and drink a cup of wine with yourself? Wang Lin smiled and sat on the side. The white-haired young man on the stone bridge was silent for a moment before he took a step forward. In an instant, he stood at the bow of the boat and sat down. He picked up a pot of wine and took a big gulp. He didn't look at his other self, but at Li Muwen, who had become an old woman. A very, very long time passed. Chapter 1613. Why did you bring her, as well? The white-haired young man drank another mouthful of wine, and closed his eyes. She is right here. If you can cut her off, then cut her off. Wang Lin picked up the wine jug and drank a mouthful. The white-haired young man remained silent until he finished drinking the entire jug of wine. Are you blaming me? Wang Lin calmly smiled. You are me, and I am you. If I blame you, I'm also blaming myself. The white-haired young man softly said, I'm still asleep. I used the Tao of deception to create this dream, but it wasn't something I could control. It was something I deduced based on the Tao intent from the 3 Tao fruits. Wang Lin didn't say anything. 2 people, or perhaps 1 person, on this painted boat, in this world where everything had stopped, they drank mouthful after mouthful of wine. Time hadn't passed. The willow leaves were still floating, but the 2 of them had drunk too much wine. After a long time, the white-haired young man softly said, How is this life? Why ask me? My feelings are also your feelings. Wang Lin put down the wine jug. Are you ready? The white-haired young man let out a long sigh. He looked at Li Muwen, and his eyes gradually became blurry. You can go. Wang Lin turned to look at Li Muwen, and his eyes were filled with reluctance. However, no matter how reluctant he was, he knew he had to leave. He had to wake up from this dream. There were still many things waiting for him to do, and many people waiting for him. Wait for me, Wan Er. I'll wake you up. The white-haired young man's eyes were also filled with reluctance. He silently stood up and arrived before Li Muwen. He lowered his head and gently kissed her forehead. The reluctance in his eyes was hidden, and sorrow appeared in his eyes. He suddenly turned around and reached toward the sky. A jug of wine immediately appeared in his hand. Gently putting it down, the white-haired young man let out a sigh and took a step forward. His figure turned into a white bird that flew into the sky and gradually disappeared. Although he had left, everything in this world was still frozen. Only the jug of wine remained there, as if it was waiting for someone to pick it up and drink it. Wang Lin silently pondered. Time stopped, but after a long time, Wang Lin arrived next to Li Muwen. He sat down next to her and placed his hands on the zither. He closed his eyes and began to slowly play the zither. There was no zither music echoing, but the zither music filled Wang Lin's heart. Bursts of sadness and nostalgia appeared in his heart. This song of unforgettable yearning came to an end. That year, that day, we met in the country of Ho Fun outside the Sea of Devils. A chase, a bleak scene, a voice and eye of loneliness. Year after year, several reincarnations, we were in 2 different corners of the mortal world. How many years have passed? We have searched the mortal world, but we have never met before. Instead, we vaguely brushed past each other. In the end, we met again, and it was also the moment we woke up from the dream. Even if we were unwilling to part, After the song ended, Wang Lin opened his old eyes. His right hand trembled as he picked up the jug of wine. He looked at the jug of wine and then at Li Muwen. This gaze seemed to last until the end of time. This gaze seemed to last until the seas dried up and the rocks crumbled. This gaze was the moment he woke up from the dream. With a silent smile, Wang Lin held the jug of wine and placed it next to his mouth. He looked at the world he had lived in for more than 70 years and drank the entire jug of wine in one gulp. The wine was like water, it was not spicy. However, it was like a fire. When it entered Wang Lin's stomach, it burned fiercely. What is karma? When I open my palm, it is karmic cause, and when I grasp it, it is karmic effect. The world rumbled and the boat Wang Lin was on dissipated. What dissipated along with it was the river, the stone bridge, the countless boats on the river, and the endless willow leaves floating in the sky. There seemed to be an invisible ripple that spread in all directions with Wang Lin as the center. All the houses in the city of Su disappeared in a flash. Not only the city of Su, but the country of Zhao, the mountains, the rivers, the sects, the mountain villages, and the official roads all disappeared in an instant. The state of Zhao, the soul refining sect, the domain of snowy snow, and all the other countries, all of them collapsed. There was also the endless sea, the roaring waves, and on the other side of the sea, the other continent, Li Muan's hometown, all disappeared. Whether it was the country of Hofun, the country of Xianwu, the Sea of Devils, or Wang Lin and Li Muan's home, the valley, all turned to dust. Everything on the earth disappeared. The only ones left were the mortals and cultivators who were maintaining these movements. They didn't disappear but calmly scattered across the world. Just like Li Muan and Big Fortune, who were next to Wang Lin. What is life and death? My left hand is life, my right hand is death. 2 streams of tears flowed down from Wang Lin's eyes. The moment he spoke, thunder rumbled in the sky and lightning filled the entire city of Suzaku. The moment he spoke, Li Muan, who was the closest to Wang Lin, seemed to be swept by the wind and turned to dust. Not only her, but the countless mortals on the river that disappeared, as well as the mortals that remained in the city of Su, all disappeared. All of the figures in Zhao that Wang Lin was familiar with or unfamiliar to him disappeared at this moment. Lu Mei was originally standing at the top of a mountain. After the mountain disappeared, she seemed to be standing in the world. At this moment, the wind blew by and her figure became blurry as she disappeared with the wind. Xue Fei and Zhou Rui were originally flying through the air, but as time froze and the wind blew, their bodies were transformed into ash that was swept away. Wang Zhuo was wearing black and was standing on top of the Hengyu mountain. At this moment, the wind blew by and his figure collapsed. There was also Huang Long, the Ting family ancestor, and countless cultivators of Zhao. Outside of Zhao, Zhou Wutai was looking at a young man before him. That young man was his disciple. Looking at that disciple, Zhou Wutai disappeared into the wind with him. There was also Yangtze, the soul refining sect's Nian Tian, Du Tian, and Rosefinch's son. Whether it was this continent or the other continent at the end of the sea, everyone disappeared without a trace. At this moment there was no earth or life in this world, only the sky remained. The only ones that didn't disappear were Wang Lin, who was crying, and Big Fortune. The 2 of them were the only ones left in this world. As Li Muan disappeared, Wang Lin's tears gently fell and sank into the endless void. It was unknown where they went. Thunder and lightning crisscrossed in the sky, forming a giant vortex. Inside the vortex was a blood-red light, and the white-haired young man also had tears flowing out from his closed eyes. He was reluctant, but the dream would eventually wake up, and this moment would come sooner or later. Today, after completing his date with himself and drinking that pot of wine, the dream was shattered. What is true and false? When I, Wang Lin, open my eyes is true, and when I close my eyes it is false. The moment he said this, Wang Lin grabbed Big Fortune's right hand and overlapped with the golden mark on Big Fortune's wrist. Then his old eyes slowly closed. At the instant he closed his eyes, various scenes appeared before his eyes. These scenes were unforgettable to him, and he was reluctant to part with them. But in the end, after they appeared, they disappeared one by one. If he wanted to find them, he could only search through his memories. In the scenes, he saw himself, Li Muan, and Big Fortune sitting on the boat. Time froze at that moment. He saw a carriage moving slowly on the official road in the wind and snow, heading toward his old home in the mountain village. He saw himself and Li Muan in their home in the valley. They had a happy time under the sound of the zither. The 2 of them looked into each other's eyes, and it was as if they had become an eternal memory. When people looked back, they would never be able to see it clearly. He saw himself sitting on the blue stone on the mountain peak, comprehending the heavens and earth. Countless cultivators within thousands of kilometers worshipped him, and he saw Lu Mei's tears. He saw himself next to the dead volcano, pointing at the sky and roaring. He could endure anything, he could use everything to deceive himself, but he could not deceive himself to cut off the karma between him and Li Muwen. He could not do it. He pointed at the sky, at the white bird, and roared at himself. Can you cut it off? Can you cut it off? You can't cut it off. He saw a merchant ship struggling amidst the endless waves on the sea. He saw everyone on the ship singing the sea ballad that had been passed down since ancient times. He saw a rebellion between life and death. He saw a woman holding a baby outside a pavilion in the rain. The cold aura from her body was enough to freeze the rain. He saw Lu Mei's confused eyes at the border of Zhao. He saw her smile as she left behind the pill. He saw his father close his eyes in his arms. He saw the autumn leaves on the roof, carrying a soul with them, getting further and further away. He saw his mother's eyes never open again, and the corners of her mouth, as if she was dreaming of his father, and the smile on her face as she left with him. He saw himself glaring at the cultivator that came to kill in the city of Su and frightening him with one word. He saw Su Dao and his burial ground. He saw the willow leaves fluttering in the wind, and he was still a young man with big fortune, waiting for a date with him on the boat. The last thing he saw was a simple and crude inn beside the official road. A drunk young man was lying on a table in the inn. When he saw the waiter beside the young man, he frowned and pushed the table again and again. Little brother, wake up. Ah, this is really a scholar. He only drank 2 cups and he is already so drunk. My inn is going to be ruined, quickly wake up. He saw the drunk young man raise his head, and with a pair of sloppy eyes, he said something with a silly smile. I'll tell you, I just had a dream. I dreamed that I became a celestial. All the scenes turned into blurry fragments the moment the word celestial left his mouth. Wang Lin closed his eyes completely. The moment he closed his eyes, the sky collapsed and everything in the dream dissipated. He woke up from the dream. In the dark void between the inner and outer realms that the old devil Jean called the wall of his mansion, the white-haired young man who had been lying there for a long time opened his eyes. Fate is surnamed Void, the mystery of the void exists. I understand, today is my birthday, and turning into a mortal is over. I've had a toothache for an entire day. My world tooth was broken before and recently exposed my nerve. The pain is unbearable. My face is half swollen. If there is a fellow cultivator with dentistry, please tell me how to take medicine to relieve the pain or kill the nerves without pulling out the tooth. I'm going to collapse today. Chapter 16:14. In the pitch-black void, the blood-colored light flickered continuously over the past few decades. However, the blood-colored light was faintly dimming, as if it would completely disappear in a short period of time. Year after year, no one would notice the passage of time in this dark void. No one knew the passage of time here, and no one could come here. Aside from the dead silence, there was only silence. This continued until one day, when the white-haired young man among the 2 corpses opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, a rumble of thunder echoed in this dark world. At first, the sound of thunder wasn't loud, but it soon reached its peak and let out a heaven-shaking rumble. The rumbling thunder seemed to be tearing apart the darkness of the void, tearing apart the starry sky as it charged out. The thunder only lasted for a moment before it grew even more intense, echoing out in all directions. The thunder was like a wave, and it caused countless silver snakes to dance in the air, illuminating the dark void. The countless silver snakes flickered and intertwined with each other. It looked like a huge electric net that enveloped the entire void. The rumble of thunder and the flash of lightning seemed to be welcoming their king. The rumble of thunder was like excited roars. They were excited because their king had finally awakened. The bolts of lightning were anchored amidst the rumbling, as if they were welcoming their king. There was also a firestorm within the thunder. This firestorm had 9 colors, and as it rotated, it filled the void and burned endlessly. As the 9-colored firestorm rotated, the 9 colors fused into one. The flames were monstrous and spread out with the white-haired young man at the center. They filled the area below and competed with the thunder above. The flames moved as if they were welcoming their king. The king of the thunder, lightning, and the monstrous sea of fire was the white-haired young man, Wang Lin. Wang Lin opened his eyes. His left eye was filled with fire and his right eye was filled with lightning. His eyes were filled with enlightenment, but there was also the sadness of waking up from a dream. This dream lasted for more than 70 years. These 10 years could no longer be considered a dream for Wang Lin, but another life for him. Even though this life was made up by him, and he had imitated the Tao of deception to deceive himself, Wang Lin didn't know what to do. The moment he had just woken up, there were still remnants of confusion in his mind. His left hand grabbed the right wrist of the madman beside him, leaving a golden handprint there. After a long time, as the thunder rumbled and the sea of fire surged, the confusion in Wang Lin's eyes was forcibly dissipated. It was replaced with coldness and determination, along with the endless killing intent that came from his body after he remembered everything. Sovereign, Heaven Master Void God, and those celestial imperial concubines. I, Wang Lin, have awakened. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with endless coldness. He slowly stood up and looked at the void outside the blood-colored light. I, Wang Lin, have cultivated for many years. Today I'm going to break through the void gate and become a third-step cultivator. Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed ahead. Thunder essence. Thunder rumbled and entangled with the endless thunder. In the blink of an eye, all the thunder and lightning in the void gathered together to form a bolt of eternal thunder. It closed in on Wang Lin and floated outside the blood-colored light. At the same time, the lightning mark in Wang Lin's right eye flew out and fused with the eternal thunder outside the blood-colored light. This was the inextinguishable lightning seal of the origin of heaven and earth. It was a lightning mark. The 9 accompanying thunders rotated 9 times around the mark and fused with it to form a bolt of thunder essence. The instant the essence lightning appeared, the void seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. The power of the lightning emanating from the mark was enough to shatter the heavens and earth, causing the void to tremble. The trembling was like a series of ripples that spread out in all directions, causing the void to distort and distort, as though it was no longer real. A terrifying aura suddenly spread out from the lightning. This aura was so strong that it could change the color of the wind and clouds. This was the power of lightning. This was the invincible might of the lightning in the world. The person who could control the power of thunder was the Thunder Celestial. The pressure of a third-step cultivator came from the thunder mark. Just this bolt of thunder was enough to shake an early-stage nirvana void cultivator. After this thunder mark fused with the accompanying thunders, it turned into a chaotic state. It no longer looked like lightning, but a mass of chaotic gas. At the beginning of the world, the origin energy of thunder and lightning was born from the primal chaos. This gas was colorless. It surrounded the blood light and slowly rotated around Wang Lin. As it rotated, Wang Lin pointed once more. Fire essence. Wang Lin's voice was ancient and cold. The moment his voice spread out, the endless sea of fire was pushed back. After the 9 colors fused into one, it turned into ethereal fire. However, at this moment the ethereal fire contained a Tao intent. These flames had already surpassed ethereal fire and had become Tao fire. As the Tao fire raged, a powerful aura of the essence of fire burst forth. All the flames in the void gathered like crazy to form a fire totem that appeared before Wang Lin. At first glance, the fire tattoo looked solid, but in truth, it was illusory and blurry. It was as if there were countless strands of aura surrounding it, making it look distorted. However, the heat it gave off was enough to burn early-stage nirvana void cultivators. Thunder and fire were completely powerful. Just these 2 essences were enough for Wang Lin to break open the void gate and kill anyone below peak nirvana void. Karma, appear. The coldness in Wang Lin's eyes dissipated, and was replaced with a look of reminiscence. At the same time, the aura of a grand scholar that only existed in his dreams silently spread out from his body. This aura was not something a cultivator could possess. Even the grand scholars of this era couldn't keep this aura until the end of their lives. In the world of cultivation, the strong preyed on the weak, so they had no choice but to change themselves and forget how they once comprehended the world themselves. Only Wang Lin had used the dream Tao to awaken himself. When he awakened, he stored the powerful aura he had gained after comprehending the heavens and earth in his heart. At this moment, when he said the word karma, that aura erupted. The karma essence was invisible, but it condensed in Wang Lin's right hand. When he opened his palm, it was karmic cause, and when he grasped it, it was karmic effect. From this day on, this right palm would become the fourth self-created divine ability in his life. Karma print. He had just finished turning into a mortal, so his mentality was still a bit shaky. In addition, the plot had reached a critical point and was about to open the 11th volume. For the rest of the time, he wanted to carefully organize the outline. There were still some plots that needed to be considered, and he was responsible for writing every word. If you don't organize the outline, that's fine, but I won't be satisfied with the article that way. Chapter 16:15. The karma print was formed with Wang Lin's palm as the karmic cause of the world and his grasp as the karmic effect of the world. The process of forming his palm was karma. The external force of karma turned into the karma print. Although Wang Lin had only just comprehended this print, its power was extremely shocking. No one understood karma better than him in this world. That mysterious thought, more than 10 years of dream Tao, more than 20 years of pondering, and all kinds of good fortune had allowed Wang Lin to comprehend this heaven-shaking fourth spell the moment he awakened. This print was enough to send someone into the cycle of karma. It was not like the dream Tao, which would slowly change things in the dream like rain. Instead, it was an extremely domineering method to determine karma. This spell was a Tao spell. Wang Lin looked at his right hand. As he opened his palm, the powerful aura of a scholar spread out. This aura could scare away ghosts and gods. It could make third-step nirvana void cultivators retreat in terror. Because Wang Lin had this aura, he had comprehended the truth of the heavens and earth. He was the heavens and earth. Wang Lin waved his right hand and his eyes revealed a strange light. He condensed the karma essence before him and formed the karma print. This print was not only the fourth spell Wang Lin had created, but it was also the symbol of the power of Wang Lin's karma essence. The karma mark, the thunder essence, and the fire essence intertwined and surrounded the area. From afar, it looked like rings, and the aura of the third-step cultivator increased several times at this moment. 3 essences were complete. Even if there was a peak nirvana void cultivator here, they wouldn't be able to resist Wang Lin's full power attack. It was difficult for essences to display their might, but once they did, their power would shock the heavens. The moment the 3 essences appeared, muffled rumbles immediately rang out in the vast void, as if they were coming from somewhere far away. In the brilliant void, outside planet Suzaku, there were tens of thousands of cultivators surrounding planet Suzaku. They formed a tight blockade and surrounded planet Suzaku. These tens of thousands of cultivators were all from the outer realm. They all had a mark between their eyebrows, and their expressions were filled with cruelty and killing intent. There was also excitement in their eyes. They were surrounding the last remaining force of the inner realm in the brilliant void. Master South Cloud was leading them, and they were fighting to the death outside Suzaku. Master South Cloud originally didn't want to stay here, but the cultivators of the brilliant void were exhausted after decades of fighting. They were filled with killing intent and didn't want to retreat. They didn't want to leave the brilliant void to go to the Luo Tian. In their view, even if they went to the Luo Tian, what was the point? When the outer realm army slaughtered their way in, where else could they retreat to? If they were going to die, then they would die in their hometown. If they were going to fight to the death, Then they would fight to the death in the Lord of the Sealed Realm's hometown, Suzaku. The statue of the Lord of the Sealed Realm stood like a mountain on Suzaku. The surrounded brilliant void cultivators smiled miserably and forgot about death. Situnan was also here. He should have gone to the Luo Tian with Qing Lin, but he had come back. This was Suzaku, this was his brother's hometown, this was where Wang Lin had disappeared, and he wasn't willing to go alone. So what if I die? Situnan laughed as his hair fluttered. He wore a purple robe and waved his hand to kill the Outer Realm cultivators. Over the years, with Qing Lin's careful teaching and Situnan's amazing talent, he had broken through the Void Gate with Qing Lin's help 30 years ago and became a third-step cultivator. Along with Situnan were 13, Bighead, and the others. Although their cultivation bases were not high enough, they had grown rapidly through the numerous battles they had participated in. At this moment, even though they were covered in injuries, their killing intent was monstrous. Among them were Master Long Pan and Master Lu Fu. After Master Long Pan awakened, he had a deep impression of Wang Lin and knew that Wang Lin was the Lord of the Sealed Realm. He knew that Suzaku was Wang Lin's hometown and that Wang Lin had disappeared here. He didn't have to come, but Master Long Pan still came. He didn't bring his disciple, Xianzhong. Instead, with his arcane void cultivation, he waved the mountain and river painting around Suzaku so that the Outer Realm cultivators couldn't destroy Suzaku. Master Lu Fu also didn't retreat back to the Luo Tian. Even though he was the ancestor of the Luo Tian cultivators, he had seen countless life and death situations over the past few decades. In particular, Wang Lin had touched him deeply. He silently pondered and didn't leave the brilliant void. Instead, he chose to fight here. The old man is courting death. Master Lu Fu's eyes were filled with madness. There was another person that Wang Lin was familiar with. It was the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor. He hadn't died. He had appeared a few decades ago with the Four Divine Sect and became a force in the brilliant void. Now he was leading many elders of the Four Divine Sect to fight to the death against the Outer Realm on Suzaku. The Azure Dragon Divine Emperor seemed to have disappeared along with the Four Divine Sect during the war between the Inner and Outer Realms. It wasn't until a few decades ago that he suddenly appeared that he began a life and death battle against the Outer Realm. His cultivation level was already extremely high back then. Although he hadn't reached the third step, he had reached the peak of the fifth heaven's blight. Including everyone here, there were less than 8,000 brilliant void cultivators surrounded by the tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators. However, it was these 8,000 people that had persisted outside Suzaku for several months. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the area around Suzaku was filled with the smell of blood. The tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators closed in, and among them were only 3 third-step cultivators. One of them was a green-robed man. He had a cold expression and his attacks were filled with ice. If Wang Lin was here, he would immediately recognize this person as one of the people who had appeared during the life and death calamity. The other person was actually the Heavenly Wolf clan's Zhou Jin. After Wang Lin disappeared, he had quietly betrayed the Outer Realm. At this moment, he was leading the Heavenly Wolf clan to set off a bloodbath in the Inner Realm. It was as if he wanted to wash away the shame of being a slave to Wang Lin. Among the two of them, Zhou Jin had the weakest cultivation level. He was fighting with Master Lu Fu to the left of Suzaku, and countless spells collapsed around them. From afar, it looked like a giant blood wolf wanted to devour Master Lu Fu, but in the end it was unable to do so. The indifferent green-robed man who had comprehended the ice essence had a very high cultivation level, and he had come with his true body. His cultivation level was at the early stage of arcane void. He alone surrounded Master Long Pan and Situnan, forcing them to retreat. This was the last battle of the brilliant void. The entire brilliant void had fallen, leaving only this place, only Suzaku. At this moment, this battle was coming to an end. Under the pressure and spells of the tens of thousands of outer realm cultivators, the inner realm cultivators continued to retreat. Their faces were filled with despair. Glory to the Lord of the sealed realm! Glory to the brilliant void! A middle-aged cultivator let out a miserable laugh after his body was pierced by flying swords. He chose to self-destruct and wrapped around 2 outer realm cultivators so they could die together. Glory to the Lord of the sealed realm! Glory to the brilliant void! Even more people let out similar roars in their despair. Their voices rose and fell one after another, joining together as if they were the final cries of their lives. The Lord of the sealed realm was killed by us. There is no glory for a dead person. The indifferent green-robed man waved his hand and ice rumbled. Cracking sounds echoed and the area before them was frozen in ice. Master Long Pan and Situ Nan quickly dodged. After hearing the words, Lord of the sealed realm, Zhou Jin's eyes were filled with humiliation. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes and his attacks became even more vicious. The surrounding tens of thousands of outer realm cultivators all roared in unison. They gave off a monstrous ferocious aura as they closed in. Just at this moment, in the sky above the battlefield, in the endless stars, there was a roar that seemed to have existed for tens of thousands of years. It came from afar, but in an instant, it seemed to reverberate in everyone's hearts. The voice was ancient, and contained a shocking aura that caused the expressions of everyone present to change. An illusory gate that seemed to occupy the entire star system appeared. This gate was indescribably large, and cultivators were like ants before it. Void Gate! This is the Void Gate. Situ Nan's expression changed greatly and he quickly retreated. His eyes were filled with shock. Could it be that someone among the outer realm cultivators has completed his essence? This, Master Long Pan's pupils shrank and his eyes were filled with worry. There was also Master Lu Fu. He was startled and quickly retreated. He looked at the giant void gate and his eyes were filled with despair. Could it really be so easy for outer realm cultivators to reach the 3rd step? To actually have such a powerful essence? Zhou Jin was also shocked. His expression changed greatly as he looked at the void gate. There was a vague sense of familiarity that almost made him lose his wit. This aura. This is... He was Wang Lin's slave and had Wang Lin's mark on him. He was countless times more sensitive to this aura than anyone else here. The green-robed young man narrowed his eyes the moment the void gate appeared. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes. I want to see who among these thousands of inner realm cultivators has completed their essence. I want him to immediately die the moment he reaches the 3rd step. If these 3rd step cultivators were like this, then there was no need to talk about the surrounding ordinary cultivators. Whether it was the outer realm cultivators or the outer realm cultivators, they were all dumbfounded as they stared at the void gate that had suddenly appeared. They couldn't imagine that someone could trigger the void gate to descend at this moment. Any time the void gate descended, whether it was in the inner or outer realm, it was a grand event. This meant that someone could become a 3rd step cultivator. Chapter 16:16. Who is it? Who triggered the void gate at a time like this? This matter is too unimaginable. The old man has participated in countless battles and has never encountered something like this. This is too unbelievable. An uproar echoed. The appearance of the void gate caused the battle to pause for a moment. Whether it was the inner or outer realm cultivators, they all looked at each other. They wanted to find out who had triggered the void gate. However, in the end, they didn't find anything. As they buzzed, the vast aura coming from the space gate that had appeared in the starry sky did not stop. Instead, it continued to grow, forming an increasingly powerful pressure. This pressure was very strong, and as it spread out, it pushed the cultivators on both sides away. Zhou Jin's expression changed once again, and his face instantly turned pale. The pressure coming from the void gate was far stronger than he had imagined. Under this pressure, Zhou Jin's body rapidly retreated, and his mind trembled violently. Such a powerful pressure from the Void Gate. Just how many essences are there? The Void Gate that appeared is far more powerful than when I was there. The green-robed young man's mind was also shaken. His eyes became cold, but he didn't retreat under the pressure. Instead, he stared at the Void Gate that was becoming more and more solid. Soon, the Void Gate completely solidified, as if it was solid. It stood tall in the starry sky, emitting a blinding light that covered the entire area, completely illuminating the dark starry sky. As the light spoke, the pressure coming from it was like heaven and earth, causing the countless cultivators in the area to feel the urge to drop to their knees and kowtow. Some of the cultivators with low levels of cultivation even dropped to their knees to kowtow. A bolt of thunder rumbled and countless bolts of thunder appeared outside the Void Gate. The thunderous rumbles continued and caused the surrounding star system to tremble. Thunder essence. The green-robed young man's eyes lit up. However, just as he finished speaking, he saw a sea of fire burning fiercely around the giant Void Gate. It let out a violent roar and competed with the thunder. Fire origin. The young man's face darkened. The moment the flames appeared, an unknown force appeared out of nowhere outside the Void Gate. This force contained a force that seemed to want to suck in people's minds. It turned into a blurry image that looked like a mark, but no one here could see it clearly. This was the Karma Seal, so it was normal for one not to be able to see it clearly. Once one saw it clearly, one would be sucked into the Karma Seal, and 9 out of 10 would die. It was the great Tao of Karma. 3 essences, it's actually 3 essences. Since ancient times, I've never heard of someone with 3 essences being able to activate the Void Gate. Who is this person? The azure-robed man's pupils constricted and his expression changed drastically. Master South Cloud was also shocked. Master South Cloud's cultivation level was high, and when he felt the 3 essences from the Void Gate, his expression changed. His mind trembled as he stared at the Void Gate. It really is 3 essences. There is actually someone in this world who can resist the temptation of the 3rd step and obtain 3 essences. Although he is only at the early stage of Nirvana Void, once he breaks open the Void Gate, he can kill early-stage Spirit Void cultivators. Situ Nan, Master Long Pan, Master Lu Fu, and company were all startled. The sudden appearance of the Void Gate had surprised them twice in a row. They didn't know if this was a blessing or a curse. This aura. Why is it so similar to my brother's? Situ Nan's eyes were filled with excitement and expectation. He vaguely had a guess that made his heart beat faster and his excitement reach a limit. Wang Lin, who was in the vast void, didn't know any of this. The rumble he heard was caused by the Void Gate appearing outside. Life and death essence. Wang Lin sat down, raised his hand, and closed his eyes. The void trembled and the 4th essence appeared around the blood-colored light around Wang Lin. This 4th essence was life and death. My left hand is life. Wang Lin's words were filled with an unspeakable majesty, as if his words were the law of the world. After he spoke, a cloud of white gas appeared on Wang Lin's left hand. The white gas turned into a white mark. This mark contained boundless vitality and the will of the heavens. My right hand is death. Black gas suddenly appeared around Wang Lin's right hand. A shocking death aura appeared, and this death aura contained the power of the earth. It formed a sharp contrast with the vitality of his left hand. I, Wang Lin, am the world of life and death. Wang Lin's hands closed before him and he suddenly opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, a ray of black and white light shot out from his palms. This light shrouded the void. Life and death seal. Wang Lin opened his palms and the black and white light flew out. It turned into a life and death seal that surrounded Wang Lin and fused with the other 3 essences. This was the 5th spell that Wang Lin had created, the life and death seal. Once the life and death seal was unleashed, it could cause the heavens to die and the earth to come to life. Its power was unfathomable. The moment Wang Lin's fourth essence appeared, in the brilliant void, outside of Suzaku, the void gate began to rumble once more. The pressure from the rumble caused even more cultivators to kneel down. From a distance, it looked like all the cultivators were involuntarily kneeling under the pressure. As the pressure on the void gate increased, a black and white aura appeared. These two auras rotated and revolved around the huge void gate. In the eyes of outsiders, it looked like the fourth source. The moment the fourth essence appeared, the first to collapse was Zhou Jin. Zhou Yijin's body trembled violently and she retreated once more. The terror in her eyes had reached an unimaginable degree. 4 essences. No one in the outer realm has been able to activate the void gate with 4 essences. This is impossible, absolutely impossible. The green-robed man's face turned pale. 3 essences was already shocking enough, and he vaguely felt like that was the limit. However, now there was a 4th essence. 4 essences is the child of the heavens. If 4 essences were to break open the void gate, then even mid-stage spirit void cultivators wouldn't be a match for this person. Who the hell is he? Who had such good fortune, such patience, and such power of comprehension? If this person is someone from the inner realm, he must be killed immediately, or else there will be endless troubles in the future. 4 essences should be his limit. The void gate activated by 4 essences is not something that can be easily opened. Even if this person has 4 essences, it is likely he will be stopped by the void gate. But just at this moment, the void gate trembled again. The pressure from it increased explosively and became even more intense. This explosive force formed a storm that swept away the countless cultivators in the surroundings, forcing them to avoid it. Shockingly, a 5th strand of origin power had appeared on the void gate. This 5th essence was real and illusory, and as it appeared, the great void gate began to blur. It was as if another illusory great void gate had appeared behind it. The 2 gates hovered there in the starry sky, making it difficult to tell which one was real and which was illusory. 5th essence. This. The green-robed man's expression changed completely. His motionless body retreated hundreds of feet. He pointed at the void gate and his eyes were filled with terror he had never shown before. 5 essences, it's actually 5 essences. If this person can't break open the void gate, it's fine, but once he does, with the power of his 5 essences, he can battle a late-stage spirit void cultivator. At this moment, all of the surrounding cultivators felt their minds tremble uncontrollably. They were continuously forced back by the pressure of the void gate. Master South Cloud's eyes lit up. He didn't know which side had activated the void gate, but he knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Brilliant void cultivators, don't look at the void gate, let's slaughter our way up. Master South Cloud let out a roar. His voice shrouded the minds of the thousands of inner realm cultivators and awakened them. Master South Cloud stepped forward and charged at the green-robed man who was shocked by the void gate. Situ Nan, Master Long Pan, Master Lu Fu, and company all charged forward. As the rumbles echoed, they began a crazy slaughter with the outer realm cultivators. Behind them, the thousands of inner realm cultivators followed closely. At this moment, a bloody storm began. However, just at this moment, a cold snort came from the distance. A purple mist appeared out of nowhere. This purple mist was too fast and instantly closed in on the battlefield. It collided with Master South Cloud and collided with him. Master South Cloud was already injured, so his face turned pale and he coughed out blood. He was knocked back toward Suzaku. 5 masters of the ancient star system. Quickly retreat. Suzaku used the formation to resist. As he spoke, the purple mist swept past Situ Nan, Master Long Pan and Master Lu Fu. Master Lu Fu coughed out a large mouthful of blood and was thrown back. His body collapsed and his origin soul weakened. He quickly escaped. There was a flash of golden light around Situ Nan's body. At this moment of crisis, he took out the treasure Qing Lin had given him. It was a jade, and at this moment the jade collapsed. He coughed out blood and quickly retreated. Master Long Pan's body also dissipated and reformed. He was almost transparent. Without hesitation, he waved his sleeves and took Situ Nan and Master Lu Fu back into Suzaku. There were also those cultivators that retreated without hesitation under Master South Cloud's roar. They all returned to planet Suzaku. The purple mist floated in the starry sky, and when it dissipated, an old man walked out. This old man had a dignified expression, and he looked coldly at the void gate in the starry sky. His pupils shrank imperceptibly. Chapter 16-17. You pieces of trash, you haven't taken down this place after several months. Today, the old man's avatar is here. All of you, come with me. The old man let out a cold snort and withdrew his gaze from the void gate. He walked toward the Suzaku. This old man was very famous, and almost no one in the inner realm didn't know him. He was one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system, Heaven Master Void God. Around the Suzaku, layers of light rapidly spread out and ripples spread across the stars. The formation around the Suzaku had been consolidated over the past few decades, so its resistance was extremely strong. At this moment, as the ripples echoed, Heaven Master Void God sneered as he walked forward. Every step he took caused the formation around the Suzaku to rumble and change violently, as if it was going to collapse before him. Behind the old man, the man in green and Zhou Jin slowly calmed down from the shock they had felt when the void gate appeared. However, Zhou Jin's heart was still trembling. He raised his head and looked at the void gate in the sky with fear in his eyes. Just as he was about to withdraw his gaze, Zhou Jin's eyes suddenly widened. His body trembled and his expression changed greatly once more. At the same time, the green-robed man suddenly looked up at the void gate. His mind rumbled and his eyes were filled with disbelief. The 6th essence. There is actually someone in this world who has 6 essences. Heaven Master Void God's pupils shrank. He looked back at the void gate and his expression was extremely gloomy. In the boundless void, Wang Lin waved his right hand and the 5th true and false essence formed a seal. It was his 6th spell, the true and false eternal seal. This seal's power was also unfathomable. After condensing the 5th essence, Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He stood up and his right hand reached out. A crack to his storage space opened and a sword flew out. This sword was the treasure Shimizu had condensed when his slaughter essence reached completion. This sword was the slaughter essence. Holding the sword, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. He mercilessly clenched his hand and the sword immediately collapsed. It turned into a dark red mist that wrapped around Wang Lin. As Wang Lin breathed a few times, it was as if all the pores on his body were breathing. The mist was absorbed into his body and became the 6th essence of Wang Lin's life. This 6th essence was the slaughter essence. As the mist dissipated, Wang Lin's figure was revealed. His eyes were filled with killing intent and monstrous killing intent erupted from his body. Today, I, Wang Lin, will use these 6 essences to break open the void gate and threaten 3rd step cultivators. As Wang Lin laughed, he waved his right hand and the blood light around him collapsed. When the blood light collapsed, Wang Lin put away the madman who was still in a coma. He waved his right hand and the collapsed blood light condensed into the drop of blood that the sovereign had separated from the madman. The moment the blood condensed, the blood light disappeared and was replaced by a golden color. This golden color gave off a shocking amount of celestial spiritual energy. This blood was the entirety of the immortal celestial body. Staring at the blood, Wang Lin pressed it between his eyebrows, but it didn't fuse with him. Instead, it turned into a golden dot between his eyebrows and disappeared. This will be a treasure of mine in the future. Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the void around him. He looked at the place where he had slept for more than 70 years. His eyes were filled with reminiscence, reluctance, unforgettable memories, and a mighty aura that contained the truth of the world. Just like this, Wang Lin let out a sigh and took a step forward. When his foot landed, a giant vortex appeared in the void before him. The vortex rotated rapidly, and a thunderous rumble echoed. It was as if Wang Lin's step contained a force that could break open the void. This caused the void to collapse before Wang Lin. Just as he was about to step into the vortex and leave, Wang Lin suddenly exclaimed. His eyes lit up and he looked at the vortex. As the vortex rotated rapidly, it split into two. As a result, two paths appeared before Wang Lin. The two vortexes led to different places. One of the vortexes gave off an aura that Wang Lin was familiar with. That was where Suzaku was, the place where he disappeared. The other vortex gave off a faint golden light. A rich amount of celestial spiritual energy appeared from the vortex and attracted the hidden golden blood between Wang Lin's eyebrows. That is. Wang Lin's expression became serious. After taking a closer look, he raised his right hand and pointed at the golden vortex. The vortex immediately slowed down. As it slowed down, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his divine sense rushed into the vortex like a storm. He saw a world outside the vortex that caused his entire body to tremble. There was a boundless land there, and there were 9 suns in the sky. These 9 suns were infinitely large and shined brightly. There were towering mountains everywhere and endless seas with surging waves. There were also many lakes and rivers. With Wang Lin's divine sense, he couldn't see the entire area. When his divine sense spread out, it only covered less than 1/10,000th of this continent. This continent was comparable to countless star systems in the inner and outer realms. The celestial spiritual energy was unimaginable. There were many plants on the ground, but he didn't recognize any of them. There were also many small beasts. Some of them had celestial spiritual energy around them and had extraordinary cultivation levels. He felt waves of powerful auras here. These auras were so powerful that they reminded him of the 7-colored Taoist he had seen in the tea-colored world. He also saw a ray of blue light flash across the sky, but it paused in the air and turned into a little girl wearing a blue dress. This little girl looked to be only around 8 years old and was very beautiful. Her eyes were flawless and contained a hint of curiosity. After pausing, she looked down. Her gaze seemed to be able to see through everything and vaguely saw Wang Lin. What is this place? Wang Lin's divine sense looked at the world in confusion. However, just as he sent out his divine sense, a force came from the vortex in the void. It stopped Wang Lin's divine sense and bounced it back. Everything he saw disappeared like a bolt of lightning. Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense, and his mind trembled. He was still standing in the void before the 2 vortexes. Looking at the vortex leading to the strange world, Wang Lin silently pondered. After a long time, his eyes lit up and he walked toward the vortex leading to Suzaku. However, just as he stepped into the vortex, a curious childish voice echoed in his mind. Why are you leaving? This is the immortal astral continent. I'm called Wawa, what's your name? Wang Lin stopped, but the voice was already vague. It was as if it was too far away and gradually dissipated. Immortal astral continent. Wang Lin turned around and looked at the other vortex. This was not the first time he had heard this name. He had heard it from the madman before. The madman had said that his homeland was called the immortal astral continent. Wang Lin silently pondered. He vaguely understood something. He was about to understand a heaven-shaking secret between the inner and outer realms. However, there was still a barrier that prevented him from thinking about it. The immortal astral continent, the 7-colored Taoist, Shimizu, the madman, the sovereign, old devil Zhan, the heavenly Tao, the heaven-defying bead, the ancient celestial realm. Also, when old Devil Jean talked to the sovereign in the Cloud Sea, he said the word Jiao, the inner palace. There is a thread that connects all of these people. Perhaps there are some I don't know about, but once this thread connects them all, it will be the ultimate heaven-shaking secret of the inner and outer realms. Perhaps before the Dream Tao, I wasn't qualified to know these things, but now I am qualified. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he walked into the vortex leading to Suzaku with a cold gaze. His figure suddenly merged into the whirlpool and disappeared. In the brilliant void star system, outside Suzaku, the infinitely large void gate was surrounded by 6 essences. This made the void gate a peak that had never appeared before in the inner and outer realms. The void gate had appeared, but the person who had broken it still hadn't come out. As a result, there was an invisible, suffocating force that made the outer realm cultivators, including Heaven Master Void God, feel pressure. Damn it, there are 6 essences. Even the sovereign can't do this. Who is this person to use 6 essences to activate the void gate? Once he breaks it open, even if he is only at the early stage of Nirvana Void, he can battle early stage arcane void cultivators. He could even cross the void realm in a short period of time. If this person is an inner realm cultivator, he must be killed. There was a flash of killing intent in Heaven Master Void God's eyes. He didn't look at the void gate that shocked him but stepped towards Suzaku. Although this was only his avatar, he was still at the early stage of arcane void. As he closed in on the formation outside Suzaku, he raised his right hand and his entire arm turned into purple mist. With a wave of his hand, the purple mist expanded and charged at the formation outside Suzaku. Thunderous rumbles echoed. The formation that had lasted for several months and was about to collapse suddenly shattered into countless fragments. Suzaku no longer had any protection. Kill your way in and quickly leave after destroying this planet. Heaven Master Void God stepped through the collapsed formation and saw the towering statue of the Lord of the Sealed Realm above Suzaku. There were thousands of inner realm cultivators surrounding the statue. They were going to fight to the death here. Heaven Master Void God sneered and raised his right hand to destroy the statue. However, just at this moment, his expression changed and he looked at the void gate behind him. The person who broke the void gate. Chapter 16:18. Outside Suzaku, a vortex appeared next to the void gate. As the vortex rotated, a heaven-shaking aura spread out. The moment Heaven Master Void God turned around, the green-robed man's heart trembled and he immediately looked over. Zhou Jin and even the tens of thousands of outer realm cultivators that were about to rush in after the formation collapsed all felt this aura that made them tremble in fear. They were familiar with this aura. The green-robed man was familiar with this aura. Heaven Master Void God was familiar with this aura. Zhou Jin was even more familiar with this aura, and it almost caused him to lose his wits. Similarly, the aura coming from the vortex outside the void gate made the cultivators around the statue of the Lord of the Sealed Realm feel a sense of familiarity that had been buried in their memories for decades. I said he can't die, he can't die, he is my brother, he can't die. Sidhu Nan's body trembled, his eyes were filled with joy, and he began to laugh like crazy. Master South Cloud gasped. He was still wondering who had the fortune to use 6 essences to activate the void gate. When he felt this aura, he also began to laugh. Good, good, good. How can the might of the Lord of the Sealed Realm die? Shi San, Master Lu Fu, and the dispirited Azure Dragon Divine Emperor all trembled as they looked at the vortex outside the void gate. Their eyes were filled with excitement. In particular, Shi San was extremely excited. Master Long Pan smiled as he looked at the vortex outside the void gate. He seemed to see the figure that angrily rebuked him back then. Lord of the Sealed Realm! Lord of the Sealed Realm! Glory to the Lord of the Sealed Realm! Glory to the brilliant void! The thousands of cultivators standing outside the statue let out roars of excitement that they had been holding in for a long time. Although some of them were not familiar with this aura, When they saw the expressions of Situ Nan and the others, a name appeared in their minds. A name they could never forget. Lord of the Sealed Realm, Wang Lin. As the thousands of people shouted before the Lord of the Sealed Realm statue, the sound became even more intense until it turned into a heaven-shattering sound. It spread out from Suzaku and into the ears of the tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators outside. As the nightmare that the tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators had forgotten reappeared, a man in white with a head of white hair walked out of the vortex as the thousands of Outer Realm cultivators roared in excitement. He had a cold and murderous expression on his face. His white hair danced and his clothes fluttered in the wind. He gave off the feeling that he had returned from the underworld, that he had walked out of death. He was Wang Lin, he was the Lord of the Sealed Realm. I'm back. Wang Lin walked out from the vortex and his cold gaze swept by the tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators. Anyone who met his gaze trembled and subconsciously retreated. In particular, Zhou Jin was sweating profusely and quickly retreated. The green-robed man's eyes were filled with disbelief. He clearly remembered that Wang Lin should have died in that calamity, but not only did he not die, he had used 6 essences to activate the Void Gate. This kind of thing caused his calmness to suddenly collapse. Lord of the Sealed Realm. The Lord of the Sealed Realm is back. Glory to the Lord of the Sealed Realm. Glory to the Lord of the Sealed Realm. The thousands of cultivators on planet Suzaku seemed to have gained endless power from their excitement. They all charged out with an aura they had never felt before and shook the stars. Just as Wang Lin appeared and the Inner Realm cultivators cheered, Heaven Master Void God's expression became extremely gloomy and killing intent appeared in his eyes. He turned and walked toward Wang Lin. Little brat, you didn't die back then, and you will without a doubt die today. The old man wants to see how a junior like you who hasn't even reached the 3rd step can survive against the old man. Back then, the old man didn't succeed in possessing your body, but since you've delivered yourself to the old man's door, it is his. What happened back then was a humiliation for Heaven Master Void God, and it made him extremely afraid. What he feared was that arrow. However, as one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system, he couldn't escape without fighting. As he spoke, he closed in on Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was indifferent. When Heaven Master Void God's avatar closed in, he closed his eyes and suddenly opened them. When he opened his eyes, a monstrous aura came from between his eyebrows. This aura was the righteous aura of a grand scholar. It was the aura of someone who understood the heavens and didn't fear ghosts or gods. Even the heavens and earth would retreat from this aura. Even ghosts and gods would fear this aura. Even the laws of the world would be useless before this aura. This was the aura of a grand scholar that belonged to humans. Cultivators were also humans. Even after reaching the 3rd step and becoming 3rd step cultivators, they were still humans. Back down. Wang Lin's gaze landed on Heaven Master Void God's avatar. In his eyes, no matter how powerful his opponent was, he was the same as a mortal, an ant, a mountain, a rock, a blade of grass. Heaven Master Void God's avatar's body suddenly trembled and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He could clearly feel that Wang Lin had become the world before him. Wang Lin's body gave off an aura that terrified him. This aura directly entered his eyes and entered his soul. At this moment, Heaven Master Void God felt like he had returned to the time when he had yet to cultivate. When he looked up at the sky, he felt like he was as small as an ant. This aura rushed into his soul. It didn't care about his cultivation level or his identity. Just one sentence was like the laws of the world or even above the laws of the world. It was like a decree from a mortal emperor. To a mortal, this was no less than a bolt of lightning. Heaven Master Void God was horrified. He almost couldn't believe his eyes. He couldn't believe that his heart was trembling. He looked no different from the Foundation establishment cultivator in Wang Lin's dream. You! Heaven Master Void God subconsciously retreated a few dozen feet. His eyes were filled with panic, which was rarely seen on him. That one sentence, that righteous aura, could shock the world and suppress ghosts and gods. This scene caused the distant Zhou Jin's complexion to turn deathly pale. Despair appeared in his eyes. There was also the green-robed man. He originally wanted to step forward to kill Wang Lin, but at this moment, his footsteps trembled and even his Tao heart became unstable. Before he cultivated, he was a high scholar. The current Wang Lin made him feel like he had met a great scholar in the past. If the three of them were like this, then there was no need to talk about the surrounding tens of thousands of cultivators. They all retreated once more and looked at Wang Lin with unconcealable fear. Wang Lin waved his sleeves. After shouting at Heaven Master Void God to retreat, he didn't even look at him. He raised his right hand and pointed at the Void Gate. Thunder, fire, karma, life and death, true and false, slaughter. 6 essences, in my name, Wang Lin, condense this world and break open the Void Gate. Wang Lin's words spread in all directions. The moment his words echoed, a supreme pressure came from the Void Gate. The Void Gate. Wang Lin looked up at the giant gate. He had waited for this day for more than 2,000 years. He had waited for this day for far too long. Back when he was cultivating, he had never thought that he would become a third-step cultivator, but this day had arrived. This was the second time Wang Lin had faced the Void Gate. The first time, his thunder essence had reached completion, but he hadn't been able to break it open. However, today, Wang Lin was confident he could break open the gate and become a third-step cultivator. He raised his 5 fingers, and the 6 essences appeared, circling around his fingers. They turned into a spinning ball of light, which he crushed and fused into his body. He jumped into the air. Under the gazes of the tens of thousands of outer realm cultivators, the inner realm cultivators, and several third-step cultivators, Wang Lin charged at the Void Gate. Once he broke open the gate, he would become a third-step cultivator. Once he broke open the gate, he would be all-powerful. Once he broke open the gate, he would be qualified to know the ultimate secret of the inner and outer realms. He, Wang Lin, had lacked talent when he was young and had cultivated arduously. He had passed the first step and then the second step. Today, he was going to break open the Void Gate and become a third-step cultivator before everyone. In Wang Lin's memory, Shimizu had used his slaughter essence to activate the Void Gate. That one strike had caused the Void Gate to collapse, and it had even caused a corner of the Void Gate to shatter. To have such power to break a corner of the Void Gate was something that was rarely seen. For people like Zhou Jin, the so-called Void Gate was something that he had to use all of his strength to break open. It was like a mortal trying to push a 1,000-pound rock. With the help of Joss Flames, even if he managed to break open the Void Gate, he would have to use all of his strength. It was like a huge battle. It wasn't that there weren't people who could be as relaxed as Shimizu, but it was very rare. In particular, the more essences there were, the more difficult it would be to break open the Void Gate, much less collapse it. Wang Lin's 6 essences had never appeared before. As a result, the Void Gate he had formed was unprecedented in the history of the inner and outer realms. It was the strongest Void Gate that no one had ever formed before or since. The difficulty of breaking open such a gate was several times more difficult than when Shimizu broke open the Void Gate. If it was Zhou Jin breaking open the Void Gate, it would be far more difficult. However, once the gate was broken open by Wang Lin and the power of the Void Gate fused with Wang Lin's 6 essences, Wang Lin's cultivation level would increase by leaps and bounds. Breaking this gate is not difficult. I have seen this gate many times and have some understanding of it. When I break it open, I'm going to do something that no one has done before and no one will be able to do in the future. Wang Lin looked up and his white hair danced. His right hand formed a fist and he jumped toward the Void Gate. He got closer and closer. Chapter 16-19. In my name, Wang Lin, I summon the thunder of the heavens and earth. Wang Lin jumped into the air and his right hand closed. Thunder rumbled and countless bolts of lightning appeared in Wang Lin's right hand. It was as if he had caught all the bolts of lightning in his hand. With one punch, he arrived before the void gate. He can't open it, he definitely can't open it. This gate is activated by so many essences, no one in the world can open it. Zhou Jin seemed to have gone crazy. As he retreated, his eyes were filled with despair and struggle. He could only place all his hopes on Wang Lin not being able to open the void gate. Only then would he have a chance to survive. The 6 essences are several times more difficult than when I tried to open the void gate. This Wang Lin, it will be very difficult for him to open it. The more essences there are, the more difficult it is to open the gate. This person will definitely fail at the gate, and once he fails, it will be his death. The green-robed man also retreated. He understood that if he tried to stop someone from entering the void gate, it would be a disguised form of help. Heaven Master Void God's expression was gloomy as he retreated. He stared at Wang Lin, who was about to open the void gate, and revealed a sneer. If the void gate was so easy to open, then the world would be in chaos. In particular, the difficulty of activating the gate with 6 essences is unimaginable. Amir Jr., even if he was lucky enough to obtain 6 essences, what use is that? I want to see how he will break open the void gate. The old man won't even need to act. He will likely die to the void gate. They didn't believe Wang Lin could break open the void gate, or they didn't want to believe it. However, for the inner realm cultivators, they hoped from the bottom of their hearts that Wang Lin would be able to break open the void gate and become a 3rd-step cultivator. Wang Lin, you must break open the void gate. C2 Nan clenched his fists, looking very nervous. When he broke the void gate, he had Qing Lin's help, but he also suffered a lot. He knew how difficult it was to break the void gate, especially when Wang Lin activated it. It was much more powerful than what he used to be, which made him even more worried. Master South Cloud's eyes shined brightly and he took a deep breath. He was already prepared to do his best to help Wang Lin at a critical moment. The gate formed by the 6 essences must be opened no matter what. Once it is opened, Wang Lin's cultivation level will become a powerful force in the inner realm. Master Lu Fu, Master Long Pan, the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor, and the others were nervous. The Azure Dragon Divine Emperor was especially worried. He had known Wang Lin for a long time, and he knew that Wang Lin was from the 4 Divine Sect. At this moment, his right hand reached out and the 4 inheritance treasures of the 4 Divine Sect appeared around him. At the critical moment, the old man will use the treasures of the 4 Divine Sect to help him break open the gate. Ignoring everyone's thoughts, Wang Lin's figure was surrounded by thunder as he charged toward the void gate. Compared to the giant void gate, Wang Lin's body was extremely small. However, this small figure gave off a power that caused the world to tremble. The tens of thousands of cultivators that were pushed away by the void gate forgot to think, and their minds went blank. The only thing left in their minds was Wang Lin's shocking thunder punch. Wang Lin had thrown this punch at the void gate before, but he had only been able to open the void gate a bit. Now that his 6 essences had reached completion, although they hadn't fused together, just the power of this thunder was several times stronger than before. The punch landed and the world rumbled. From afar, Wang Lin's figure was like the first bolt of eternal thunder, and it landed directly on the void gate. A thunderous rumble echoed in all directions. The tremor caused the surrounding tens of thousands of cultivators to cough out blood and be knocked back. They were terrified and wanted to leave this place. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the giant void gate trembled as if it couldn't withstand the pressure. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, it slowly opened a sliver. The moment the void gate opened a bit, Wang Lin let out a roar. As he roared, bolts of thunder appeared out of nowhere in the brilliant void. The moment they appeared, They seemed to be summoned by something and charged toward Suzaku. The entire brilliant void trembled at this moment. Bolts of lightning seemed to be pulled out from the cultivation planets and charged toward Suzaku. Bolts of lightning danced in the starry sky. There were even many outer realm cultivators in the brilliant void star system. There were often hundreds of cultivators or groups of cultivators chasing after the remaining cultivators of the brilliant void star system. However, at this moment, all the cultivators in the brilliant void star system were shocked by the thunder around them or in the distance. They didn't know what was happening, but they could feel that the entire brilliant void star system was filled with thunder. It was as if all the lightning in the world had found their king of lightning after being lost for countless years. And now, the king of lightning Mang had let out a long roar, summoning them to come forth. From afar, the thunder in the entire brilliant void seemed to connect into one, as if it was a sea. The thunder swept past the cultivation planets, the stars, and the outer realm cultivators. What happened? What the hell is going on? Why are there so many lightning bolts? Could it be that a lightning-attributed treasure has appeared? All of this thunder is heading in one direction. What happened there? Isn't that direction Suzaku? Could it be that some sort of shocking change has occurred there? Bursts of uproar came from every group of outer realm cultivators in the brilliant void. They were at a loss, they didn't know what had happened. However, the thunder filled the brilliant void, and some people couldn't dodge fast enough and were hit by the thunder. They screamed miserably and their bodies collapsed. This caused the expressions of the outer realm cultivators in the brilliant void to change greatly. Strands of divine sense spread out in the brilliant void, trying to find the lightning and find out what it was. If one looked from high above in the brilliant void, they would clearly see the waves of thunder gathering like crazy toward Suzaku, toward Wang Lin, who was outside the void gate. The despair in Zhou Jin's eyes became even stronger. He almost couldn't believe his eyes. He heard the muffled rumbles coming from all directions, and when he looked over, he was completely startled. He saw far, far too much thunder and lightning, already illuminating the pitch-black starry sky. They turned into streaks of dazzling radiance as they rumbled over. This. The green-robed man's eyes were bright and his face turned pale. Although he was at the early stage of arcane void, when he saw the endless thunder coming from the brilliant void, his scalp went numb. Not only him, but even Heaven Master Void God was startled and his eyes were filled with shock. He didn't expect Wang Lin's thunder essence to have such power. This is by no means an ordinary thunder essence. The old man has seen thunder cultivators before, but he has never seen such power. This Wang Lin, how did his thunder essence form to have such power? Heaven Master Void God's eyes lit up. Even if it's all the thunder in the brilliant void. Before Heaven Master Void God could finish his thoughts, he was interrupted by an even more intense rumble that completely suppressed the endless thunder in the brilliant void. His expression changed greatly and his divine sense spread out. This caused him to subconsciously retreat a few steps. Heaven Master Void God exclaimed, "Impossible!" There was only one thing that could shock Heaven Master Void God, one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system. When his divine sense spread out, he saw the endless thunder coming from the cloud sea. Heaven Master Void God didn't care about stirring up the entire brilliant void, but he didn't expect Wang Lin's roar to even move the cloud sea. In the cloud sea, it was the same as the brilliant void. Bolts of thunder appeared from the continents and followed the ancient summons toward the brilliant void. Rumbles echoed from the thin mist in the sea of clouds. Countless bolts of lightning suddenly rushed out and connected into one. They directly blasted open the barrier between the brilliant void and the brilliant void, rushing in. If this was it, it wouldn't be a big deal. However, after Wang Lin's roar spread across the brilliant void and the cloud sea, it also spread into the summoned river. In the summoned river, the lightning lit up the entire star system. Countless outer realm cultivators saw the endless bolts of lightning that were like meteors or silver snakes moving through the sky. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the entire summoned river. Large amounts of outer realm cultivators rushed out of their cultivation planets and into the stars. They stared dumbfoundedly at the lightning that was moving like waves. What happened as the thunder rumbled across the summoned river, the cloud sea, and the brilliant void? The last one to move was all heaven. The Luotian star system hadn't been captured by the outer realm yet. It was still in the hands of the inner realm. At this moment, the inner realm cultivators were dumbfounded as they watched the monstrous thunder charge toward the brilliant void. This was the prelude to Wang Lin summoning the heavenly thunder. When the all-heaven star system's thunder celestial realm shattered, the eternal heavenly thunder that had existed since ancient times trembled and left the thunder celestial realm. For the first time in countless years, it flew out. From afar, it looked like a silver river, and as it flew toward the brilliant void, the prelude to this battle ended. Brilliant void, Luotian, cloud sea, summoned river, and all the thunder in the inner realm rushed toward Suzaku. They rushed toward Wang Lin, who had his hand raised and was roaring at the sky. Chapter 1620. In the past, the inner and outer realms were separated by the complete realm ceiling formation, making it difficult for them to pass through. However, at this moment, the realm ceiling formation had been torn open by the outer realm. This allowed Wang Lin's roar to silently pass through the gap in the cloud sea and spread across the outer realm. Thunder rumbled across the vast outer realm ancient star system. Countless thunderbolts appeared from the void and shot toward the gap in the cloud sea. Even the outer realm cultivators that cultivated thunder trembled violently. Origin energy surged out of their bodies uncontrollably and turned into thunder that shot into the distance. The entire ancient star system was filled with thunder. It rushed into the gap in the cloud sea and into the inner realm. It fused with the thunder in the inner realm and headed toward planet Suzaku. All of this took a long time, but it happened extremely quickly. Outside Suzaku, beside the Void Gate, Wang Lin's roar stopped. Thunder and lightning from all over the inner and outer realms all arrived at this moment. The sound that almost collapsed space itself caused the hearts of the surrounding outer realm cultivators to tremble. Blood flowed out of their orifices, and they all used all their spells to resist. Their vision was a blur. The blinding lightning seemed to be able to penetrate the eyes of all living beings. As Wang Lin pointed at the Void Gate, a scene that had never happened since ancient times appeared. This was using all the power of thunder from the inner and outer realms to bombard the Void Gate. This was an extremely arrogant and domineering method to bombard the Void Gate. Before Wang Lin, no one could do it, and after Wang Lin, no one could do it. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, fine cracks appeared on the gigantic Void Gate. At the instant those cracks appeared, even more thunderbolts came crashing down. As the violent rumbles echoed, the edges of the Void Gate were reduced to dust, and it started to collapse from all directions. At the same time, even more lightning descended. All of the lightning that had been summoned in this world bombarded the Void Gate, causing the Void Gate to emit a light that was even brighter than the sun. Wang Lin shouted, "Break for me!" As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the right side of the Void Gate collapsed into countless fragments. Shortly after, the left side of the Void Gate also collapsed under the monstrous thunder. As it continued to collapse, in just an instant, the huge Void Gate completely shattered, turning into countless fragments that flew in all directions. The Void Gate collapsed. As it collapsed, a giant vortex appeared. The endless power of the Void Gate poured out like a river toward Wang Lin. However, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he waved his right sleeve. A powerful force shot out toward the Void Gate and pulled it back into the vortex. After breaking open the Void Gate, although Wang Lin didn't absorb the power of the Void Gate, his cultivation level increased greatly. He went from the peak of Nirvana Shatterer to the Heaven's Blight and took the most critical step. His cultivation level directly reached the early stage of Nirvana Void. However, this wasn't Wang Lin's real cultivation level, but an aura. The aura of a true early-stage nirvana void cultivator. If Wang Lin wanted to, as long as he absorbed the power of the void gate, he could turn it into his own cultivation level and reach the early stage of nirvana void. But at this early stage, it was only the origin of lightning. Wang Lin didn't want this early stage. He had endured until today, until he had completed 6 essences. If breaking open the void gate was only nirvana void, he wouldn't be satisfied. What he wanted was to shock everyone with one roar. This scene shocked all the surrounding cultivators. Zhou Jin's face was ashen and he was in despair. He wanted to leave, but he found that this space was shrouded by a pressure that made it impossible for him to retreat even half a step. He looked up and saw the source of the pressure. It was Wang Lin looking at him from the side. This gaze caused Zhou Jin's mind to explode, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. The green-robed man's face was pale. He vaguely saw that something was different, and an unbelievable and horrifying thought appeared in his mind. Could it be that he wants to, one more gate? Wang Lin's cold and proud voice entered the ears of the green-robed man, causing his eyes to narrow. Even though they were enemies, he still revealed a look of respect. As Wang Lin waved his sleeves, the vortex formed by the collapsed void gate began to rotate rapidly. A pressure several times stronger than before spread out without reservation. This pressure caused cracking sounds to echo and space itself began to shatter. The vortex dissipated, and what replaced it was surprisingly another void gate. This door was slightly smaller than before, but the mighty aura it exuded was even stronger. What an arrogant lord of the sealed realm! Heaven Master Void God revealed a complicated expression. This was the first time he had called Wang Lin Lord of the Sealed Realm, instead of Junior. Since ancient times, anyone who breaks open the Void Gate will absorb the power of the Void Gate and use it to solidify their own essence. This will allow their cultivation to reach the true third step. This process is very short, and once it is absorbed, the Void Gate will dissipate. Almost everyone will make the best use of their time and not delay. If they delay, then even if the Void Gate collapses, it will quickly condense again. Once the Void Gate condenses again, the power of the Void Gate will dissipate. As a result, it will be useless to open it again. However, the second time the Void Gate condenses, it will be even stronger. However, this person can kill a third-step cultivator before the Void Gate appears. Although his Void Gate is powerful, it can't do anything to him. Although Heaven Master Void God felt helpless, he had to admit that his previous judgment was wrong. He's not going to break open the Void Gate, he's going to do something that's almost impossible. He's going to use each essence to break open a gate. He's going to reach the third step with 6 essences. Doing this is too difficult, but the benefits are countless times better than breaking open the Void Gate once. Heaven Master Void God looked at Wang Lin with a complicated expression and killing intent. Since he is so arrogant to do this before the old man, I want to see what he can do. The second Void Gate that replaced the vortex appeared. Not only were the outer realm cultivators shocked, but even the inner realm cultivators like Sidhu Nan and company were shocked. The moment the Void Gate appeared, there was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes and a sense of confidence filled his body. He was Wang Lin, he was the Lord of the Sealed Realm, he was someone who had completed 6 essences. Since ancient times, no one had ever dared to be like him. He had the qualifications to be confident and do something no one had ever dared to do, to continuously break open the Void Gate. It wasn't that Wang Lin was doing this on purpose, but he had seen the Void Gate several times before. He vaguely knew that every time he broke open the Void Gate, the more power it would release when it collapsed. In particular, if he wanted to fuse his 6 essences together, the power of the Void Gate would be unimaginable. Wang Lin didn't know what the power of the Void Gate was, but he knew that it was the key to becoming a third-step cultivator. It was comparable to Qi condensation and foundation establishment. This was why he had to do this. The moment the void gate appeared for the second time, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he raised his right hand. He calmly spoke, and his voice was like law, causing space itself to tremble. Fire essence, in my name, Wang Lin, burn this void gate. As he spoke, the 9-colored fire surged and spread across the star system. At this instant, the brilliant void, the cloud sea, the Luo Tian, the summoned river, and even the outer realm's ancient star system all appeared like thunder. The endless fire came from both the inner and outer realms and shot toward the void gate as Wang Lin pointed. It was impossible to describe the magnificence of this scene. This was something many cultivators would never be able to see in their lifetime. The endless fire rushed toward the void gate. A thunderous rumble echoed, and the raging fire completely shrouded the void gate. As the heat wave spread out, the void gate collapsed once more. This collapse didn't cause any fragments to scatter. All of the fragments were burned to ashes by the flames. When the void gate collapsed a second time, a mysterious void gate power 10 times stronger than before rushed toward Wang Lin. However, this void gate power wasn't enough for Wang Lin to fuse with his 6 essences. Thus, he once again swung his sleeves, turning into a violent gale that swept up the power of the void gate and returned to the vortex that appeared after the collapse of the void gate, which was even larger than before. Void gate again. Wang Lin laughed and pointed at the sky. At this moment, as the fire essence blasted open the second void gate, Wang Lin's aura increased once more. Today was Wang Lin's day of fortune. Today was the day Wang Lin would step toward the peak. He had endured for so many years, he had waited for so long for this moment to arrive, to become a third-step cultivator. His aura had already reached the early stage of nirvana void the first time he broke open the void gate. Now that the second void gate was broken, Wang Lin's aura increased greatly. It went from the early stage of nirvana void to the mid-stage of nirvana void. The toothache was unbearable. Chapter 16:21. He didn't nourish it, and he didn't have time to think about nourishing it. What he wanted was the explosion of the void gate. What he wanted was for his cultivation to soar after he became a third-step cultivator. At this moment, if he wanted to absorb the power of the void gate, he would immediately become a mid-stage nirvana void cultivator. However, he didn't want that kind of cultivation, as it was just 2 strands of source origin energy. As Wang Lin pointed, an angry roar came from the vortex formed by the collapsed void gate. As the vortex rotated rapidly, the third void gate appeared. However, just as the third void gate appeared, a fourth void gate appeared right after it. If this was it, it wouldn't be a big deal, but after the fourth void gate, another one appeared. It was the fifth void gate. 3 void gates appeared in the world at the same time. From afar, this scene was shocking. The surrounding tens of thousands of cultivators seemed to have lost consciousness, leaving only fear and aghast. 3 void gates! What the hell is he doing? He keeps bombarding the void gate that even third-step cultivators struggle to face. Even among the 5 masters of my outer realm, I have never heard of anyone being able to do this. Lord of the Sealed Realm. Lord of the Sealed Realm. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he looked at the 3 void gates that appeared one after another. He stepped forward like a meteor and charged at the 3 void gates under the gazes of the surrounding cultivators. As Wang Lin moved forward, his right hand formed a palm and he arrived before the 3rd void gate. He raised his right hand and pressed down on the giant void gate. Fruit! The moment he pressed down, Wang Lin's voice echoed and turned into the last note. Seal, karma seal. Wang Lin had comprehended through karma during his more than 70 years of dream Tao. It was the 5th spell in his life. The moment the word seal came out, Wang Lin's right hand completely pressed down on the 3rd void gate. The moment his palm landed, there was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. His 5 fingers formed a claw and he mercilessly reached in. His 5 fingers entered the void gate, and his right hand closed into a fist. With this, it was as if he had grasped the karma of the world. With a roar, Wang Lin's right hand mercilessly pulled out from the void gate and threw it out. He suddenly threw it out. As he threw it, there seemed to be a distorted void gate being pulled out by Wang Lin's right hand. The moment he raised his right hand, a thunderous rumble echoed from the third void gate. Cracking sounds echoed and cracks spread from where Wang Lin's right hand pressed down. In the blink of an eye, the cracks covered the entire void gate. With a bang, the void gate turned into countless fragments and dissipated. The third void gate collapsed. The moment the void gate collapsed, Wang Lin's laughter echoed. His karma essence surrounded him and his aura increased once more. He went from mid-stage nirvana void to late-stage nirvana void. Since ancient times, a third step Almighty had never done something like this before. To be able to do such a thing while breaking open the void door. Wang Lin didn't stop. When the third void gate shattered, he stepped through the fragments and arrived before the fourth void gate. He raised his hand and pressed down on the fourth void gate. Life and death seal. A strand of white gas came from Wang Lin's left hand. The moment it landed, it rushed into the void gate and occupied half of it. At the same time, the black gas from Wang Lin's right hand swept into the void gate like a storm. It twisted with the white gas, causing the void gate to tremble violently. When Wang Lin said the words, "Life and death seal," his expression was calm, but there was a sense of arrogance in his eyes. His hands mercilessly stretched to the side. "Open for me!" As Wang Lin roared, his hands seemed to contain the life and death force of the world. As he stretched, the fourth void gate collapsed. The fourth void gate collapsed. The moment the gate collapsed, Wang Lin's aura erupted once more. He went from late-stage nirvana void to peak nirvana void and stood above the peak of nirvana void. A crack suddenly appeared between his eyebrows. It was pitch black inside the crack, and it seemed like another world was contained within it. This was unique to spirit void cultivators. They formed their own Joss flame realm and used their own bodies to nourish their Joss flame souls. With their own Joss flame realm, spirit void cultivators could force others to worship them and become their Joss flame slaves. Wang Lin had broken open the void gate by himself without any Joss flame. As a result, the crack between his eyebrows wasn't a Joss flame realm but his own world. Even though he didn't have a Joss flame soul, he could still force others to worship him. Right now, the crack hadn't been completely opened, so his cultivation level wasn't high enough. As he laughed, Wang Lin waved his sleeves and the dissipating void gate fragments were taken away. What appeared before him was the fifth void gate. This fifth void gate was even more solid than before. It was like a real gate that stood among the stars. When the gate appeared, Wang Lin didn't raise his hand to tear it open. Instead, his eyes revealed a shocking gaze as he looked at the fifth void gate and closed his eyes. With his eyes closed, everything in Wang Lin's world was false. As long as his heart was there, his thoughts were there, and everything was there. The moment he closed his eyes, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened. The moment he opened his eyes, everything in the world became true. This was the spell he had comprehended from the true and false essence, the true and false Tao. The fifth void gate existed among the stars, but Wang Lin closed his eyes once more and waved his right hand. This wave was as simple as sweeping away dust, but in the eyes of the surrounding cultivators, in the eyes of Zhou Jin, the green-robed man, Heaven Master Void God, Situ Nan, Master South Cloud, and the others, the fifth void gate instantly distorted like dust. As Wang Lin waved his hand, it gradually dissipated like dust and silently collapsed before Wang Lin. The 5 void gates were all blasted open by Wang Lin one by one. The moment the gates dissipated, the crack between Wang Lin's eyebrows completely appeared. There seemed to be an endless suction force inside the crack, and the moment it appeared, it felt like even space itself was going to be sucked in. The powerful aura of an early-stage spirit void cultivator spread out from Wang Lin's body. If he was satisfied, then if he absorbed the power of the void gate, he would be an early-stage spirit void cultivator. However, how could he be satisfied? This was only 5 essences. He, Wang Lin, still had the 6th essence that Shimizu had given him. The slaughter essence, which he had absorbed into his body, had reached great success as soon as it appeared, and was about to activate the void gate for the 6th time. This scene of karma blasting open the void gate, life and death tearing apart the void, and true and false waving terrified the surrounding cultivators. It was unknown who reacted first, but that person let out a scream of terror and retreated like crazy. As a result, almost all the outer realm cultivators retreated in all directions. They were afraid. Seeing Wang Lin break the void gate so easily, they couldn't help but be afraid. They were terrified to the extreme. The first time, it was fine to blast the void gate with lightning, and the second time, it was acceptable to burn it with fire. However, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th time, with 1 palm, 1 press, and 1 wave, 3 void gates collapsed. The last time, he only closed his eyes, opened his eyes, and closed his eyes again, and the void gate mysteriously dissipated. This was beyond the imagination of the outer realm cultivators. The green-robed man also retreated in terror. Although he was at the early stage of arcane void, he was only at the early stage. Wang Lin breaking 3 void gates in a row allowed him to see some clues. Karma, life and death, true and false. He actually went to comprehend these grand Tao ethereal essences. This person can't be provoked, can't be provoked. Essences were divided into corporeal and ethereal. Thunder and fire were corporeal, but karma was ethereal. Comprehending these ethereal essences was even more difficult. The 6th essence, slaughter essence. Wang Lin's voice was calm, but it contained a shocking killing intent. As his words echoed, a red snowflake silently appeared out of nowhere and spread out. As the cold red snowflake scattered, the 6th void gate suddenly appeared. This 6th void gate was completely different from the previous 5. It was made of white bones, and at a glance it didn't look like a gate, but the mouth of a skull. Its strange appearance slowly appeared before Wang Lin, and a ripple spread out endlessly. Any cultivator affected by the ripple trembled and directly aged. There were close to 10,000 people who didn't even have a chance to scream. They simply died of old age and turned into ash that dissipated into the air. 10,000 void bone gate. Only 2 people here recognized this gate. One was Master Southcloud, and the other was Heaven Master Void God. Even the green-robed man had never seen or heard of this void gate before. This white bone gate, could it be the legendary 10,000 void bone gate? Heaven Master Void God's face was pale as he looked at the skull-like gate. His eyes were filled with extreme terror. The celestial imperial concubine once said that the 10,000 void bone gate is a ravine in her hometown. In her hometown, very few people can trigger this gate, and if they don't die prematurely, they will become a grand sovereign in the future. The 10,000 void bone gate. The previous lord of the sealed realm taught the world that anyone who can trigger this gate at the 3rd step will have an unimaginable future. He once said that this bone gate isn't something from the palace realm. It's a heavenly sign that appeared in his hometown. Master Southcloud looked at the strange bone gate with disbelief in his eyes. Chapter 1622. Wang Lin did not know about the 10,000 void bone gate, but the strangeness of this gate caused his eyes to narrow. As he watched the giant gate slowly solidify before him, a hint of killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. No matter how strange this gate was to Wang Lin, it was still the same, a gate for the 3rd step. He took a step forward and raised his right hand. Immediately, the endless red snowflakes in the sky trembled and rapidly changed directions toward Wang Lin's right hand. In an instant, Wang Lin's right hand gave off an endless red light. His right hand had completely turned into a bloody palm. The dazzling red light was piercing, and there was also a cold, killing intent that filled the sky. Under this killing intent, the cultivators in the surroundings all trembled, and they were unable to take a step forward to escape. Slaughter essence, Wang Lin muttered. His body moved forward, and he charged toward the gate that looked like a skull. In an instant, Wang Lin closed in and raised his right hand. The bloody palm gave off a brilliant light and slammed down on the gate. With a bang, a giant blood-colored palm print appeared above the 10,000 void bone gate. This blood-colored palm print contained all of Wang Lin's slaughter, as well as all of Shimizu's slaughter. This slaughter had already become a type of essence, and the moment it landed on the 10,000 void bone gate, it was as if countless vengeful spirits had appeared. They howled as they tried to escape from the blood-colored palm print, but they could not do so. Instead, they changed directions and charged toward the void bone gate. A thunderous rumble echoed in the sky at this moment. The 10,000 void bone gate was indeed extraordinary. Under the blood-colored palm of slaughter and the endless roars of vengeful spirits, it only trembled. Only a few cracks appeared on it, but it did not collapse. Not only did it not collapse, but there was even a rebounding force that erupted and went straight for Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. The more difficult it was to open the door, the more interested he became. At this moment, he retreated with a smile and pointed at the sky. His eyes were filled with determination. Thunder! Thunder filled the world and shot toward the void gate. Flames surged, turning into a storm that burned 10,000 bones. Karmic seal. Wang Lin opened and closed his right hand. Seal of life and death. He raised his left hand and clasped it with his right hand. True and false Tao. Wang Lin closed his eyes, and when he reopened them, a noble aura filled his body. This was the aura of a grand scholar, and it fused with his early-stage spirit void aura. Wang Lin took a step forward and his right hand clenched before he threw a punch at the 6th void gate. 6 essences, open the void gate. Wang Lin let out a roar and moved like a ray of light toward the void gate. He got closer and closer, and in an instant, his right hand landed on the 10,000 void bone gate. This punch contained the hope of Wang Lin's 2,000 years of cultivation. This punch contained the full power of his 6 essences. This punch contained his determination to resurrect Li Muan and make himself stronger. This punch was Wang Lin's rumbling gate punch when he became a 3rd-step cultivator. Booming sounds filled the air, shaking everything and sweeping across the starry sky. The gigantic 10,000 emptiness bone gate suddenly trembled, and cracks spread out rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it collapsed into pieces. This was the 6th void gate. He had broken 6 void gates in a row. There was no power in this world that could stop Wang Lin from becoming a 3rd-step cultivator. The moment the gate shattered, an infinitely large vortex appeared. The power of the void gate rushed out like crazy and entered Wang Lin's body. Under the power of the void gate, popping sounds came from Wang Lin's body. The 6 essences in his body rapidly fused and his aura increased from early-stage spirit void to mid-stage spirit void. From early-stage spirit void to mid-stage spirit void. As the power of the void gate fused, Wang Lin's body continued to condense. As it fused, his mind rumbled and his body broke through some kind of limit. From the peak of the 2nd step, he had taken that step. This step was the step of a 3rd-step cultivator. With this step, not only did Wang Lin's aura increase, but his cultivation level had truly broken through the 2nd step and become a 3rd-step cultivator. From now on, he, Wang Lin, was a 3rd-step cultivator. Popping sounds came from his body, endless rumbles echoed in his mind, and an extremely comfortable feeling came from all over his body. It was as if Wang Lin had been reborn, and his body had ascended from the inside out. The first step of cultivation, from qi refining to ascendant, was for the cultivator's body to break away from the mortal realm. At the Nirvana Scryer stage, the cultivator would be reborn and be able to absorb origin energy. The third step was the second time in a cultivator's life that their body would be reborn. Their body would expand infinitely until there was no barrier between their body and the world. This step was even more heaven-defying. It fused a cultivator's talent. From now on, third-step cultivators were no longer limited by talent, only enlightenment. As the 6 essences fused, the thunder and fire essences fused, and Wang Lin's cultivation level rose from early-stage nirvana void to mid-stage nirvana void. When the karma essence fused once more, his cultivation level increased once more and he reached the late stage of nirvana void. When the life and death essences arrived and the true and false essences completely fused, Wang Lin's cultivation level broke through the peak of nirvana void and reached the early stage of spirit void. The cultivation level that rose from Wang Lin's body turned into a pressure that spread out. As everyone watched, the killing intent in Heaven Master Void God's eyes could no longer be hidden. He let out a roar and charged forward like crazy. Earlier, the Void Gate was there, so he couldn't attack. However, now that the Void Gate had collapsed, he had to kill Wang Lin. He had a feeling that if he couldn't kill Wang Lin today, he would never be able to. The appearance of the 10,000 Void Bone Gate made Heaven Master Void God's scalp tingle. At this moment, he was going all out. Even if this avatar collapsed, he didn't care. The hatred between him and Wang Lin was a life and death hatred. If Wang Lin didn't die today, he, Heaven Master Void God, would die in the future. Now that he is fused with his essences, it is the best time to kill him. Once he completely fuses with his essences, not even early-stage arcane void cultivators will be his match. He can't be allowed to live. The green-robed young man also had the same thought. He had already retreated, but when he saw Heaven Master Void God's actions, he clenched his teeth. His eyes were bloodshot and his body was covered in endless ice as he charged at Wang Lin. There was also Zhou Jin. He was scared out of his wits, but he was still a third-step cultivator and the ancestor of the Heavenly Wolf clan. He let out a roar and charged forward like crazy. Behind him, a blood wolf hundreds of thousands of feet long followed. The actions of the 3 of them caused Master South Cloud and company to rush forward to stop them despite their injuries. However, just as they were about to rush forward, a gentle voice echoed in their ears like a spring breeze. "No problem." Although this voice was gentle, it contained an unquestionable force that stopped Master South Cloud and company. They saw Heaven Master Void God and company charging at Wang Lin from 3 different directions as he absorbed the power of the Void Gate. Wang Lin, who had fused with 5 essences, was using the power of the Void Gate to fuse with the 6th Slaughter essence. As Heaven Master Void God and company closed in, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed at the 3 of them. "Stop!" He was a spirit void cultivator, a third-step cultivator. He had absorbed the power of the Void Gate and fused it with his essence. In an instant, the star system changed. This finger seemed to stop the rotation of the star system and the flow of time. With this point, Wang Lin extracted the Tao intent from the 3 Tao fruits he had planted in the Dream Tao. With this point, Zhou Jin's body trembled, and he was unable to take half a step forward. The green-robed man also felt his body being restrained by countless Tao intents and couldn't move. Only Heaven Master Void God's body could still move forward, but his speed had suddenly dropped. Just at this moment, Wang Lin moved. He had spent his life killing, so the thing he wasn't afraid of the most was killing. At this moment, he arrived before the green-robed man and closed his eyes. When he opened them, there was a moment of confusion in the green-robed man's eyes. While his mind was confused and his body was frozen, Wang Lin raised his right hand and his 5 fingers formed a palm. He pressed down on the green-robed man's body and his 5 fingers clenched. Karma print. The green-robed man's body trembled and he coughed out blood. He was at the early stage of arcane void, but he had been fighting for many years and his injuries hadn't healed yet. In truth, he could only use peak spirit void cultivation. Now that he was stopped by the stop spell, he couldn't fight back. Inside the karma print, the moment Wang Lin raised his right hand, he grabbed an illusory mist. No one knew what this mist was, but the moment it left the green-robed man's body, his body trembled violently. His eyes bulged and his expression became distorted, as if he was in extreme pain. What was being extracted was the power of karma and Tao intent. What was being extracted was the green-robed man's essence. The fog rapidly changed in Wang Lin's hand and turned into ice several times in a short period of time. It wanted to escape from Wang Lin's hand, but in the end it was calmly held by Wang Lin. The karma print was extremely domineering. Essence was also a part of karma. Human karma, cultivation karma, and the final third step essence was karma. At this moment, Wang Lin's white hair fluttered and his calm expression was just like the sovereign from back then. Chapter 1623. Essence is also karma. Opening my palm is karmic cause and grasping it is karmic effect. Since it was not easy for you to cultivate, I won't kill you today. I'll take your essence and seal it for 1,000 years before leaving the battlefield. Wang Lin's eyes contained the world and a powerful aura erupted from his body. His gaze landed on the green-robed man's eyes. The man's body trembled and a rumble echoed in his mind. He coughed out blood once more and Wang Lin waved his sleeve. He retreated tens of thousands of feet before he stopped. His eyes were dim and filled with monstrous terror. What kind of spell is this? Scram! Wang Lin closed his eyes, and when he reopened them, he let out a calm roar. He didn't roar this one word, but it was extremely calm. However, when the green-robed man heard it, it was as if the world was collapsing. It was as if a force had rushed into his body and wanted to tear his origin soul apart. Terrified, the green-robed man coughed out blood and quickly retreated. It was as if his soul was about to scatter as he escaped like crazy. He hadn't lost all his essence, but under Wang Lin's karma print, a majority of it had been extracted. This terrified him greatly. Although he had never heard of this spell before, he vaguely knew that the sovereigns fishing the moon in the well had a similar power. His mind trembled and his heart was filled with unwillingness as he retreated. He thought that if his cultivation had been at its peak, then even if Wang Lin used the karma print, it wouldn't have been so easy to extract his essence. The old man is at the arcane void stage. The old man is not convinced. He roared in his heart, but he didn't reveal any of it. He didn't even look back as he quickly retreated. All of this happened in an instant. After forcing the green-robed man back, Wang Lin suddenly turned around and walked toward Heaven Master Void God, who had slowed down due to the stop spell. Let's settle the matters of the past today. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes, but his expression was calm. He looked at Heaven Master Void God and walked forward. Myriad Sunset Virtual God Tao. Heaven Master Void God let out a roar and his hands formed a seal. He waved his hand and a giant rift appeared behind him. Endless Joss flame souls rushed out from the rift. They rushed out with ferocious expressions and lit up the starry sky. There were tens of thousands of blurry statues that filled the starry sky. Suppress this person for me. Suppress him into the cycle of reincarnation. Make him fall into the starry abyss, and his soul will never be able to escape. As Heaven Master Void God spoke, his hand pointed forward. The surrounding 10,000 illusory statues fell toward Wang Lin as if they were going to bury him among the stars. At this moment, a giant vortex appeared below Wang Lin. This vortex was formed by a spell, and as it rotated, countless vengeful souls appeared. They let out mournful roars and twisted their bodies. They surrounded Wang Lin and tried to pull him into the vortex. At this moment, the vortex formed by the collapse of the Void Gate still existed above Wang Lin. From a distance, this scene was extremely shocking. There were vortexes above and below Wang Lin, and between the two vortexes were tens of thousands of statues. These statues emitted a blinding light and were trying to smash Wang Lin one by one. It looked like Wang Lin was completely trapped by Heaven Master Void God's spell. Die for me! Heaven Master Void God's expression was ferocious. He raised his right hand and a purple mist appeared. The mist turned into a spear in his hand. He grabbed the spear and threw it at Wang Lin. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the spear shot toward the trapped Wang Lin. The green-robed man that was escaping suddenly stopped and revealed a struggling expression. However, he quickly turned around and stared at the trapped Wang Lin. He let out a roar and gave up on escaping. Instead, he stepped forward. Wang Lin's expression was calm. The moment the 10,000 statues collapsed, he closed his eyes and walked forward. His speed wasn't fast, but there were over 100 statues closing in on him. However, when the statues closed in, it was unknown if Wang Lin's body became illusory or if the statues themselves were transparent, but they directly passed through Wang Lin's body as if they didn't exist. Thunderous rumbles echoed as countless statues fell, but not a single one of them could stop Wang Lin. They all became transparent around his body as if they were dissipating. However, they continued to pass through his body and reappeared behind him. This scene caused Heaven Master Void God's pupils to shrink. Although Wang Lin's steps didn't seem fast, he instantly arrived before Heaven Master Void God. He raised his right hand and, regardless of what spell his opponent used, pressed his palm down. Life and death seal. The left hand was life, the right hand was death. When Wang Lin's palm landed, black gas filled the entire palm. Although it landed in the void, Heaven Master Void God's expression changed. He could clearly feel that Wang Lin's palm contained an aura of death. When this palm landed, it was as if there was no longer any life within the starry sky. Instead, it turned into a dead zone. The moment it turned into a dead zone, countless cracks appeared in the starry sky around Heaven Master Void God. The void collapsed and the endless aura of death shot toward him. There was a thunderous rumble and Heaven Master Void God was forced back dozens of feet. He looked up, but just as he did, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed at Heaven Master Void God. Stop! Heaven Master Void God's body immediately slowed down once more. He let out a roar and was about to break the stop spell and break out of this quagmire-like situation. However, how could Wang Lin give him the chance? The moment he used the stop spell, he closed in on Heaven Master Void God. He raised his right hand and pointed between Heaven Master Void God's eyebrows. Thunder! After he spoke, Wang Lin's right index finger seemed to turn into an eternal bolt of thunder. This eternal bolt of thunder contained the power of all the thunder in the inner and outer realms. This finger could kill a third-step cultivator. Even though Heaven Master Void God was one of the 5 masters of Taiji and his cultivation level was unparalleled, he was only here with his avatar. His cultivation level had just reached the arcane void stage. As a result, the power of this thunder could also injure him. With one finger, Heaven Master Void God's body trembled. There was a flash of silver light between his eyebrows and tens of thousands of silver threads spread out. In the blink of an eye, they covered Heaven Master Void God's entire body. Thunderous rumbles echoed and blood flowed out from the corner of Heaven Master Void God's mouth. Just as he retreated, Wang Lin stepped forward once more. His right thumb once more pressed between Heaven Master Void God's eyebrows. Fire! Thunderous rumbles echoed. Destructive flames spread out from between Heaven Master Void God's eyebrows. In the blink of an eye, they surrounded his body. They rushed into his mind, rushed into his soul, and began to burn violently. The pain of his entire body being burned caused Heaven Master Void God's expression to become distorted, and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. However, this was not the end. There was a flash of killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes. His right hand formed a palm and pressed down on Heaven Master Void God's forehead once more. After his palm landed, his fingers clenched into a fist. Karma. A strand of source energy was extracted by Wang Lin. Wang Lin's continuous attacks didn't give Heaven Master Void God any chance to resist. With the stop spell, Wang Lin was like the heavens themselves. Life and death. Wang Lin raised his hand and his left hand pressed down on Heaven Master Void God's chest. Heaven Master Void God's old body began to glow with youth, as if he had suddenly become younger. However, at the same time, the youth collapsed as Wang Lin's right hand fell. Life and death energy erupted from Heaven Master Void God's body as if it wanted to tear him apart. Blood flowed out from Heaven Master Void God's orifices, but his body became even more ferocious. He was one of the 5 masters of Taiji, and his dignity wouldn't allow him to yield. Heaven Master Void God's body trembled and he broke the stop spell. In the instant that the fixed body technique was broken, his entire cultivation base suddenly burst forth. However, Wang Lin's expression was still the same. The moment Heaven Master Void God broke the stop spell, Wang Lin pointed forward. Stop! No! Heaven Master Void God's body trembled once more and his eyes were filled with despair. Real or fake? When Wang Lin closed his eyes, everything in the world was fake. When he opened his eyes again, everything became real. However, when he closed his eyes again, Wang Lin raised his right hand and mercilessly chopped down. Slaughter! With a thunderous bang, Wang Lin's palm was like a blade that emitted a monstrous killing intent. It mercilessly chopped down on Heaven Master Void God's head. Popping sounds echoed and a miserable scream echoed. Heaven Master Void God's body was split in half. His body turned into 2 clouds of purple mist that scattered to the left and right. However, as Wang Lin closed his eyes, he could clearly feel that the mist that was split in half was like a piece of clothing. Now that the mist was separated, it revealed Heaven Master Void God's avatar's true body. This was an invisible mass of energy. This mass of energy was illusory and difficult for cultivators to detect. Only Wang Lin could sense it with his true and false Tao. This invisible mass of energy was the core of Heaven Master Void God's avatar. This avatar was actually the breath of Heaven Venerate Void God's main body. Heaven Master Void God was called the Void God because his body had always been illusory. It could even be said that his body was a mass of energy. At this moment, no one but Wang Lin could see the invisible mass of energy that had turned into an avatar. It wanted to leave this place. Heaven Master Void God wasn't the strongest of the 5 masters, but he was the most difficult to kill. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.